Chapter 2051 Can one world have many systems? Mag looked at the miniature kitchenware that Amy took out with a surprised expression. The kitchenware was about half the size of the normal kitchenware. The knives set gleamed coldly under the light. If they weren't marked with the mark of 304 steel, this would have to be a set of kitchenware handmade by a master. This was the alternate world. A world where one couldn't buy a stainless steel knife set easily on the street. Moreover, this 304 stainless steel marking was too out of the norm and too obvious, right? Comment system, did you trade with little Amy privately? Mag asked inwardly. He was certain that he had never given a set of kitchenware like this to Amy. He did give one set to Anna, who loved to cook, but it didn't look like this. Only the system could make a set of kitchenware that looked so modern with the label marking in this world. No. Didn't. Never. This system only serves one host, and cannot interact with another person. This is a very important principle in the system's code. It's equal to the host's confidentialities code. Moreover, this knives set is of a very low quality. It definitely was not made by this system. Judging from the forging techniques and materials, it indeed is a modern mass production item. Its origin needs to be verified. The system was obviously a little agitated, but it clearly stated its stand. Then, where did little Amy's knives set come from? Mag furrowed his brows slightly. Amy held onto the chef's knife, and enthusiastically asked Mag, "Father, can we start now?" Let's start learning from smashed cucumber salad." Mag nodded. He wasn't in a rush to ask Amy. He held the cleaver, and smashed the cucumber with the back of the blade as he said, "You have to be fast. You tap at the cucumber gently when it's not paying any attention." Smack! Big and small cracks were made on the cucumber, but only a little juice splashed out. It looks quite simple. Amy nodded before she raised her chef's knife confidently, and smacked down. Boom! The cutting table still couldn't withstand that blow. Mag, looking at the cutting table lying on the floor with all its four legs bent and the cucumbers that were smashed to bits together with the cutting board, his expression was a little complicated. What the heck? Holding the chef's knife, Amy looked equally shocked too. Amy turned to look at Mag, and innocently said, I simply tapped it gently." I know." Mag forced a smile. He patted Amy's head, and consoled, "It's fine. This always happens to chefs." He knew Amy didn't do that on purpose. However, the little one had learned only his starting stance, but she didn't learn to retract her strength before the knife landed on the cucumber. Not to say a cucumber, even a stone melon would be shattered with that blow. Perhaps this was the so-called easy to learn, but difficult to execute. This knife seemed to be damaged too. Amy looked at the bent chef's knife in her hand with distress. Mag took that chef's knife, and broke it into two with a gentle bent. He shook his head, and said, "The quality is too lousy. Little Amy, if you really want to learn cooking, let's get Master Ram to make you a chef's knife after we return to Chaos City. Obviously, it's because you guys are too violent, okay? Girl with monstrous strength and dad with monstrous strength. My life is so hard." One system was bellowing at a corner. All right. Amy nodded obediently. Mag cleared up the mess in the kitchen before installing 4 super alloy legs for the cutting table, the kind that could withstand a blow from a 7th-tier knight. Mag took a small knife from the knife rack, and passed it to Amy. He asked, "By the way, where did you get this set of knives from, little Amy? I remember I didn't give you a set of knives, nor did we buy one when we went out." This. As soon as Amy opened her mouth, she heard the system's urgent warning in her mind. She looked troubled when she sensed Mag's concerned gaze. "Stupid system, father said I have to be an honest child. I cannot lie," Amy said angrily in her heart. "Please calm down, little mistress. As your system, I have to strongly warn you about the importance of keeping this secret. Moreover, the locals might not be able to understand the sophisticated existence of this system. They might cause little mistress harm once we're exposed. According to the system's manual, there had been cases of hosts being sliced up and studied, or burned right on the spot. They were all horrendous. Even if your family members won't hurt you, in such a fantasy world, once the others knew about it, rumors such as being controlled by the devil could also occur and bring harm upon your family members. The system tried to talk Amy out with a gentle and sad tone of voice. It almost knelt down to Amy. Mamma mia! Why did it get stuck with such an adorable host? Daddy God, I want to go home. Bring harm to father, mother, and Annie? Amy became nervous as soon as she heard that. The system seemed to catch the focus, and quickly said, yes. We have to keep this secret and slowly get more powerful so that we can protect them. Then what should I say? I'm really not good at lying. Amy was distressed. You'll say. You'll say that you picked them up in the ancient well at the back. I'll put some other things in there later to create an illusion that the old well is a portal to another space, and then you'll have a proper excuse to explain the source of your rewards. Your father is just a local, so he wouldn't know about all this, the system suggested. It sounds feasible. Amy nodded slightly. With a glint in her eye, she said, this. I got it from the well at the back. You got it from the well? Mag was a little stunned. Judging from Amy's behavior, he could basically deduce that she was lying. However, Amy wasn't a child who liked to lie. She had to have her reason for that. Why couldn't Amy tell the truth about this modern set of kitchenware that appeared mysteriously? Moreover, she had been behaving weirdly since she had woken up in the morning. She, who had been uninterested in cooking, had suddenly decided to make breakfast for them. She had even asked him to add more items to the menu, and asked to learn cooking. All this looked so familiar. System, can one world have many systems? Mag asked inwardly. Absolutely impossible, the system answered resolutely. Are you certain? Only in those messed up worlds would God throw some substandard systems there for them to compete and fight their way to become the real host of destiny. Meanwhile, the world only needs one outstanding system like me. There will never be another system, the system replied seriously. In this case, Mag murmured. I'm basically sure that there should be many systems in this world. Chapter 2052 What to do when you are threatened by your little mistress on your very first day of setup. If Amy received a system, would she be required to keep this secret? Mag continued to ask. He had also thought of the possibility of Amy being controlled by the Great Old Ones. However, the Great Old Ones wouldn't be so stupid as to issue Amy meaningless missions such as making breakfast and learning to cook. They also wouldn't give Amy a cute set of kitchenware as a reward. Only a ridiculous system would do such a thing. Like his defective cuisine system. According to the system's confidentiality code, the host has to sign a non-disclosure agreement after receiving a system, and has to strictly keep the secret. The system would explode and perish together with the host, the system confirmed. Why did I never hear that before? Mag was bewildered. Because the host is very well aware and timid, this system never needs to emphasize on it. This is called steady, Mag emphasized before he teased, but in this case, are we sharing a common destiny? Then, you better be nicer to me in the future. It's over for you if I'm unhappy and fall down the stairs one day. Laughing, the system replied, the system can find another host if the host dies accidentally beyond the setting. The system would not disappear like this. Speaking of it, Amy wished upon a shooting star yesterday. She really might have received a system. I wonder what kind of system it is. It can't be a useless cuisine system too, right? Mag pondered. This system is a unique existence. This system is the most studious and hard-working in the entire system universe. How dare you say that I am useless? the system roared. Mag pursed his lips. You see, my combat ability has already reached the ceiling of this world, and yet I am still just the boss of a small restaurant. I didn't master any one of the 8 major cuisines. Aren't you useless as a cuisine system? The system. If you systems have a group chat, with your standard, you should be the one that always got kicked out, right? It's so embarrassing, Mag lamented. How dare you? How dare you? The system was furious. Since I can't ask little Amy directly, why don't you ask in the group chat which one of your colleagues is tied to my daughter? The system severely said, according to the system's code, there is also a confidentiality code between the systems. We cannot share our hosts' information and allow our hosts to have a connection. This will greatly disrupt the world's balance. Oh, I see. Mag frowned. To receive a system is a host's greatest honor and opportunity. Even if host has doubts, please don't interfere casually, otherwise it might cause unnecessary harm and trouble to your daughter, the system warned. Mag rolled his eyes. Ho ho, it is its greatest honor to become Amy's system. With Amy's talent and background, does she need such a useless system? Apart from wasting her time and energy by issuing her nonsensical missions, what good can it do? The system was silent. It actually couldn't come up with a rebuttal. Seems like I have to teach Amy how to tame and control the system, Mag thought. The system. Was that appropriate? If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website mythanks. At the same time, it felt, schadenfreude for that colleague that might exist in Amy's mind. Ha ha ha. Another system has fallen to this devil. I went to see who will be kicked out of the group chat with me next time. Mag ended the short conversation with the system, and smilingly said to Amy, I see. That might be a wishing well. We'll go take a look at it later and see if there are other things in there. All right. Amy nodded happily. System, this matter can't end if you don't put a snack gift package in the well today, Amy said inwardly. Life experience system. Teaching a little one with absolutely no cooking talent to cook was a mission from hell. After smashing 3 cutting tables and 3 normal cleavers, Amy finally used fathead fish to smash a cucumber that remained somewhat intact. That's not bad, at least it still can be eaten. Mag looked at the cucumber that was smashed into granules, and showed a fatherly smile. It's indeed super easy. Amy smiled too. Mag lost his balance and almost fell down. Looking at the trash can that was almost filled to the brim with shattered cucumbers, Mag meaningfully said, Daughter, you have to reject sternly if someone makes an unreasonable request or makes you do something that you're not able to do. Don't be restricted by rules. You make the rules in your territory. Amy nodded obediently, even though she didn't quite understand. I'll feel like I'm being targeted, but I have no evidence, remarked the life experience system. That's all for today. We'll learn how to make the dressing tomorrow. Mag ended today's tutorial happily. As for the system's mission, as long as they completed it, that would do. As for whether the smashed cucumbers were up to standard, it wasn't the concern of the host's father. The host and the system were of equal status. Come to think of it, he was that system's daddy. See, this logic was perfect. Let's go and see if there is other stuff in that well. If there isn't any, I will fill it up. Mag removed his apron, and brought Amy to the backyard. There was an old well in the tavern's backyard, but it had already dried up after years of neglect. Mag had even taken a look at it when exercising a few days ago. There had only been a withered leaf in there. There was no space-time portal in there at all. It was just an excuse made up by that system to give Amy a reasonable source for her rewards. Amy jogged to the well, looked in on her tiptoes, and excitedly said, Father, look! There really is a package in the well. Mag looked in after hearing that. Ha! There really was a box with golden words written on it, Snack gift package, EE on the system's forum. Post requesting assistance, a noob system asking for help online. What to do when you are threatened by your little mistress on your very first day of setup. Urgent. The following replies came. The strongest strategy system wrote, Little mistress? I know you are a sucker as soon as you speak. What an embarrassment. God of Martial Arts system added, what to do when your host is disobedient? He will be after you beat him up. I call him dog poop now. Sucker system continued, what to do? Pamper her, of course. She's the host that you chose, so you got to pamper her no matter what. Can't talk now. My host is calling me again. God of Cookery system advised, you can't spoil her. You have to fight for dominance. My host is well behaved after being taught by me. He's calling me daddy every day. Multiple systems replied to the God of Cookery system's post. Twee. Get out of the chat group. You are boasting here again? Again? Chapter 2053 A drink that will make you happy. It really is a huge snack hamper. Amy exclaimed. Mag sighed for her system. That tone and sentence told him that it was all a self-directed performance. However, Mag still tried to act along. He squeezed out a surprised smile, and said, it really is a huge snack hamper. Hat. Humans are indeed just a repeating machine, a certain life experience system scoffed. Amy opened the gift package. In the box were Lay's chips, Mimi prawn snacks, Walong spicy strips, Maltesers, Coca-Cola. Mag raised his brow, and wondered if the system packed the snacks from a random snack shop on Earth. How do I eat this? Amy grabbed the cola bottle, and waved it around. After that, she twisted the cap open forcefully. Poof! Before Mag could stop her, the Coca-Cola was already forcefully opened, and the drink burst right out, forming an arch in the air. Amy's hand trembled and dropped the bottle, together with the remaining half of the drink. Luckily, Mag reacted quickly and caught the bottle. Mag smiled and wiped the cola on Amy's hands with a handkerchief, and said, this is cola. It's the happy water of a fatty. You can't shake it before drinking it, otherwise the drink will squirt out. It's a drink that will make you happy. Amy exclaimed. Try it to find out. Amy put the bottle to her mouth, and gulped down huge mouthfuls of the drink. Burp. Amy placed the bottle down and burped loudly. After that, she smiled radiantly at Mag, and said, I really became happier. Amy capped the bottle, and said happily, this is a good well. It's just like a wishing pond. If it's obedient, we'll keep it. If it's not, we will bury it, Mag said with a smile. Hee hee, all right. Annie carried the snack hamper that was even bigger than her body, and put it on her shoulder while saying, I'm going to share these snacks with big sister Annie. That way, it will be double the happiness. The two little fellows shared the snacks happily, and Mag could occasionally enjoy 1 or 2 Maltesers brand immortal pills while he pondered over Amy's system. From what it seemed, this system should not be a vengeful system or perverse choice. System, nor was it a pretentious system. It made Amy make breakfast, helped him in creating his new dish, taught how to cook. It seemed more like a kind of experience system. In that case, Mag was slightly relieved. It's a good thing for children to experience life and understand the pains of the world to know where the food on their plate comes from. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website mythanks. Humans have to be more down to earth. A proud person as he was in his previous life would often incite jealousy from others. Of course, what would be the expressions on those world chefs' faces who cursed him to land in this world if they saw him in his current glorious state now? Like this, plus plus? Or like this, UG? System, why don't you send pictures of me with my beautiful wife and cute children, and wielding a sword to slay enemies to those chefs who cursed me back then? Mag said inside. Would you like to receive another transmigration course? Hat, a bunch of stingy fellows. Mag pressed his lips together and let things go. He would not want to transmigrate again with such a perfect life currently. He would not even want to transmigrate back to Earth. An editor rushed into Garland's office as he said in a shaky voice, "Chief. Chaos City's distributor requested another 100,000 prints." "What?" Garland, who had his head in his work, suddenly looked up at the editor in shock. 100,000 prints. "The pre-order bill has been sent over from Chaos City," the editor said as he placed a receipt on Garland's table. Garland looked through the bill 3 times, and was still in disbelief. How could Chaos City alone have such a good market response? Perfect Food Pan-Continental Plan had been launched years ago, and one could even buy the latest issue on Demon Islands. However, Perfect Food's main zone of influence was still the Roth Empire. The sales of other regions added up would only make up 1/5 of the Roth Empire's sales. Chaos City's market was not bad to begin with, reaching sales of 3,000 to 5,000 per issue. After this issue was published, 5,000 magazines were released to the distributor in Chaos City. Now, the distributor actually ordered 100,000 magazines straight away. It was said that our magazine was hard to buy in Chaos City. Even second-hand ones were sold at 500 copper coins per magazine, and it was still hard to come by, the editor said agitatedly. "Sir, I think we are making a miracle. The sales of this issue have already broken through 150,000, and all the distributors were still asking for more copies. This is not the miracle we made. It was Boss Mag." Garland could not hide the joy on his face as well, but he was much calmer. "Yes, Mr. Mag's face reveals in addition to the recipe tutorial for the popular eggplant with garlic sauce caused this sales miracle." The editor nodded in agreement. "Find a few more printers, and get them to work in full force, but maintain the quality," Garland said seriously. "Also, go talk to the distributors, and never allow resale at a higher price to happen. If it happens again, we will take back their distribution rights, and put them on the Perfect Foods blacklist." "Yes, I'll be on it." The editor left quickly. Milo sauntered into the chief editor's office, and sat in front of Garland. He crossed his legs, and said slowly, "I think you should just get Boss Mag to write for you instead. The sales have already thrashed many famous food magazines. If had that ability, our boss could even wake up laughing." Garland pressed his lips and smiled. "However, Boss told us to go to Chaos City again to ask Boss Mag to provide us with long-term content. If it can't be done, he can provide us with just the materials as well. Lam just a freelance writer, are you sure it's appropriate for me to keep going on business trips? We have sufficient budget this time around, with food and massage all paid for." "Sure, even if we're going to a dragon's cave, I will go with you." Boss Mag has quite a flair for writing, although he does not use flamboyant vocabulary, it was good as it did not feel cringy. His writing is simple and easy to understand. For someone who hasn't cooked before, even I feel that I can cook, Vanessa, who was traveling in a horse-drawn carriage, said with a smile as she flipped the Perfect Food magazine in her hands. Over 100 people were crowding around when Mag opened the door. However, most of them were not attracted here by the liquor's fragrance, but by Amy, who was sitting on a little stool with Ugly Duckling in her arms. "You achieved nothing when you were young. You sometimes complained and grumbled, but you tried to work hard at other times. You tried to build connections, but your life didn't improve at all. You always felt miserable until you were 30 years old, Amy said. "What will happen after 30 years old?" Tom asked excitedly after hearing that. Amy closed her eyes, looking very cute, and slowly and calmly said, "After 30 years old, you will get used to it." Ha 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 ha. It's so funny. Although it's very funny, why do I feel that she was talking about me? Don't laugh. The master is talking about you. Everyone burst out into laughter. The response was very enthusiastic. The tavern hadn't opened yet, but all of them were charmed by the tavern's owner's adorable daughter. The little one was not only cute and well-behaved, she would even tell funny jokes. They couldn't walk away from her. Not only could they kill time, they were cheered up by her after being busy for a long day. Is it time for the tavern to open? Amy turned around to look at Mag before getting up with a smile, and saying to the customers, "Welcome to Saipan Tavern. We have the best liquor, the funniest jokes, and the cutest eye." Happiness points from Tom +1 happiness points from Dick +1 negative emotions from Tom +1 negative emotions from Tom +1 Amy looked at the life experience points that kept popping up in her head with an exceptionally sweet smile and crescent-shaped eyes. "Boss, your daughter is really cute." "Boss, my son is 5 this year. He is handsome and rich. Should we consider becoming in-laws?" "Boss, is your daughter for sale?" The customers came in and asked all kinds of funny questions. "Not for sale." Mag rejected firmly. "If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website mythanks. Amy got to Mag, and smilingly asked, "Father, are we getting more customers?" "Yes, little Amy got many customers for the tavern." Mag patted Amy's head with a smile. The little one had worked very hard. Vanessa came forward, looked at Amy with her beautiful eyes, and asked with anticipation, "Cutie pie, I would like to hear you tell another joke." She had been listening to her from the horse-drawn carriage earlier. She laughed so hard that tears came out. She hadn't laughed so happily for a long time. She didn't expect to be amused by a 4-year-old girl today. "All right." Amy looked at Vanessa, and tilted her head to think for a while. Tom went to a party, but he was stopped by the guards. They asked him, "What is that bulky thing at your waist? Take it out." Tom lifted his clothes, and angrily roared, "Flesh! Flesh! It's my flesh that I grow myself in." A fatty that just stepped into the tavern faltered in his steps. Negative emotions from Tom +3 ha ha ha. Vanessa was stunned for a moment before breaking out in a hysterical laugh. "Thank you for making me happy." Vanessa removed the white jade beads bracelet on her wrist, and gave it to Amy. "Big sister would like to give you a small gift." "Thank you, big sister." Amy took the beads and wore them on her wrist. The customers at the back couldn't stop staring at them with a shocked expression. If they had seen correctly, that should be the gift that the king had given the princess for her birthday recently, and she was giving it to the tavern's little boss now. "We can't mess around with this tavern." Everyone quickly reached a consensus in their heart. With Amy's performance, Mao Tai's intoxicating fragrance, and the fame that began to spread in Rodu's courtiers' circle, Saipan Tavern welcomed its very first full house. Amy went into the tavern, and saw a chubby young man sitting by the window, and looking at the sky at a 45-degree angle melancholily. She couldn't help but curiously ask, "Fat big brother, why are you looking so sad?" The chubby young man sighed, and lamented, "The others can just go on a trip with their swords as they wish, but I can only inherit my father's career, and be a noble at the court, being bothered by all the state's matters." "Don't be sad. Although you cannot go on a trip as you wish, at least you can get fat as you wish," Amy consoled him. "Hey? 0 to 0? The chubby young man turned to look at Amy, who was walking away. Negative emotions from Tom +3 seems like this big brother is easily agitated. I can continue to get points from him, Amy thought. She already received over 80 life experience points from the customers Indiana a short while. Ding, dong! You have accumulated over 100 life experience points. The exchange center is already open. Little mistress, you can use the life experience points to exchange for items at the exchange center. Right then, the system's voice rang in her mind. Can I exchange snacks? I still want to drink the happy water of a fatty. Amy's eyes lit up, and quickly clicked open her properties panel. Host, Amy level 1, 1/100, life experience points, 101 skills, attribute identification systems missions, 1 side mission, the Old Father's Wish. In progress, 2. Side quest, attack on cucumber. In progress, lucky draw system, currently unavailable exchange center, open, please explore for more functions. Amy clicked open the exchange center that had just appeared expectantly. It jumped to another glittering interface. Elementary Iron Sword, 50 experience points, click to exchange. Elementary Magic Wand, 100 experience points, click to exchange. Forbidden Fireball Magic, 100 experience points, click to exchange. EEE Spring of Life, 1000 experience points per bottle, click to exchange. EK that's all? Amy got out of the exchange center disappointedly. The system began its promotion enthusiastically. An elementary magic wand is a must-have weapon for a novice magic caster, and the fireball magic is a powerful yet easy-to-learn magic. Little mistress, you would only need to earn life experience points to receive Forget It. You don't even have happy water. Your rewards are completely unattractive. I'm not going to play anymore. You can play by yourself. Amy sat on the chair behind the counter and interrupted the system before picking up the glass of Spring of Life to take a sip. Irina bought it back 2 days ago. It had been their family's drinking water recently. The system. This shouldn't be its script. How could a novice host be drinking the Spring of Life, and be so disdainful towards his rewards? TM giving you one last chance. If I still don't see happy water when I click into the exchange center, I won't play with you anymore. It's meaningless, Amy said. EK on the system's forum. Novice system seeking help, what to do if the little mistress is too strong when she starts the system. The initial rewards are incompatible. This system is pulling its hair out. As Amy kept most of the money, Mag had lost the chance to save his private savings. Amy came up from under a table while shaking the beads on her wrist, and happily said, "Father, this bracelet can glow in the dark." "It's very valuable," Mag said with a smile. Only Vanessa would give such a precious luminous pearl bracelet away casually. Amy put down her hand, and asked, "But where's Mother? She hasn't come back for the whole day. She has returned to Chaos City. There might be some matters she needs to handle." Mag wasn't very worried about Irina. With Ozzy around, it wouldn't be hard for her to get away even if she met unforeseen circumstances. Chaos City was, after all, their base, and nothing serious would happen there. "Let's go. It's already late. Let's go wash up and sleep." Mag took Amy's little hand, and walked to the staircase. Gentle footsteps sounded, and Annie appeared at the staircase with a picture book in her arms. Mag stopped, and smilingly asked, "What's up, Annie?" Annie passed the picture book to Mag. Mag took the picture book. A pretty and cute mermaid was sitting on a rock on the cover. The background was a rippling blue sea, but the most eye-catching item was that bowl of red braised pork in the mermaid's hands. A soul was immediately infused, wasn't it? Just by looking at this cover, giving it the title of The Indescribable Tale of the Mermaid and the Red Braised Pork was perfectly appropriate. Compared to just having a cute and innocent mermaid, the additional red braised pork would make people even more curious. In 2 short days, Annie's drawing technique had already improved by leaps and bounds. Be it the artistic style or the details, they were all exquisite without any faults. Even that bowl of red braised pork was colorful and enticing. It made people hungry when they looked at it. Amy climbed onto a stool, and exclaimed, "What a beautiful little mermaid! Big Sister Annie is so awesome!" Flipping open the picture book, the story was still that familiar mermaid's tale, but compared to the first version, this version's storyboard, expressions, and dialogue had all improved. Of course, most importantly, an old grandpa named Mag was inserted in this version. He taught the little prince how to make the red braised pork and win the heart of the little mermaid. See, this was the quality that an outstanding comic artist should have. Not only did Annie insert Mag into the Little Mermaid's story perfectly, she even gave him an important role. Meanwhile, the cooking process of the red braised pork was perfectly drawn too. Even a person who couldn't cook could follow the instructions in the picture book and make a passable red braised pork. Annie placed her hands behind her back, and looked at Mag nervously and expectantly. She was just like a student who was waiting for her teacher to declare her results. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Mag closed the picture book, and wholeheartedly praised Annie. Annie, you are a natural comic artist. You have unmeasurable talent in this area. A smile appeared on Annie's face. She had a slight blush, but a gleam sparkled in her eyes. Let me read it. Amy took the picture book over from Mag carefully and ran upstairs. It's so well drawn. It will be a waste if it's not published. However, I can see that Rodu's picture book's publisher's equipment is all simple and basic. They might not be able to print out the original drawing's effects, Mag murmured before saying, why don't I open a publishing company that only prints your picture books? Annie nodded obediently, but she didn't seem to understand what Mag was saying. Mag patted her head smilingly, and indulgently said, let's go. It's already late. Let's wash up and sleep. Annie rubbed against his hand with her eyes closed before going upstairs. After telling a bedtime story to the two little ones, and waiting for them to fall asleep, Mag returned to his room, changed into night camouflage clothes, and left the tavern. Boss Mag, this way. Noah waved to him from a dark alley. Mag walked into the alley, and asked Morant, how is it? Morant shook his head, and said, we have searched throughout Rodu, but we couldn't find any traces related to the devil. Josh might have already left Rodu. This isn't good news. Mag frowned. He might not have left, either. What if he is simply hiding somewhere? He's so cunning, Noah butted in. He's already the public's enemy right now, and he can't do much in Rodu, so there's no incentive for him to remain here. He wouldn't have taken the risk to stay in this city where most of the 10th tier powerhouses are located. Mag shook his head. It will be even harder to look for him now. Where will he go, then? Asked Noah. After pondering briefly, Mag said, if he wants to get stronger, he has to create more conflicts and obtain more resentment from them, or appear in places where there is a strong resentment and absorb it directly. Morant suddenly said, perhaps we should go to the extreme north of the continent. It was an ancient battlefield. Countless corpses were buried under that snow plain. That ghostly place, Noah instantly turned sullen. You can't even see a ghost there. He most likely won't appear there, right? He felt the light leaving his life the moment he thought about leaving the warm and comfortable Rodu, and going to the freezing snow plains in the north. Morant said to Mag, we'll set off tomorrow morning. We'll let you know immediately if we discovered his tracks, Boss Mag. All right. Mag nodded. Let's search through Rodu one last time tonight. Let's go into the second prince's residence. Sure. Morant nodded, and the three of them quickly disappeared in the dark alley. 1 hour later, Mag jumped over the walls of the second prince's residence. He looked at the wooden box in his hands with a frown. Morant sighed, and lamented, seems like this is the source of the devil. Greed made him lose his soul. This shows that the devil that controls Josh and the devil that escaped from the seal under Golden Dragon Island are not the same one. We have two enemies. Mag passed the box to Morant. Morant kept the wooden box, and gravely said, I will try to locate him as soon as possible, before he can plan an even bigger plot. Be careful. Mag nodded. Let's go, young man. Morant turned to leave. Didn't you say that we will leave in the morning? Noah was confused. The devil will not give you a chance to stay overnight when it comes looking for you. Morant chuckled. Goodbye, Boss Mag. Noah waved to Mag sullenly, and quickly caught up with Morant. There was the aura of 2 10th-tier powerhouses. They could not stop him. However, tonight was not the best time to kill Sean. Josh was already socially dead. Now, Sean was the only heir to Andre's throne. The third prince was just a child who liked carpentry, and was not within Andre's consideration. If Mag were to kill Sean now, he could not guarantee that Andre would not do anything crazy. Sean was on Mag's to kill list, and Mag did not care if Andre had anyone to succeed him. This was because Andre would ultimately die in his hands. Mag threw a block of wood towards the mansion and turned to leave. Soon, a 10th-tier powerhouse came rushing out with a group of knights. They searched around and returned with nothing. In the study, Sean looked at the rock with a horrifying devil's head carving handed to him by his subordinate. His face was pale. "Deliver this over to the palace early in the morning tomorrow, and report this to Royal Father," Sean commanded solemnly and looked away. When everyone left, Sean regained his composure, and he muttered to himself, "Josh, well done. You can't even save yourself, but here you are, threatening me. I hope you can hide yourself well and not be caught by my people Chaos City." The large square before the textile factory in the north of the city. Irina stood at the high platform, and said loudly, "Political power comes from the gun barrel. This is a truth that would never change. We have to forego all our ideals and prepare for the final round of war with the Stubborn sect led by Helena to free the Wind Forest completely, save our fellow people from the suffering, and rebuild the Wind Forest. Defeat Helena. Rebuild the Wind Forest." Tens of thousands of elves shouted together. There was a glow in their eyes. It was the longing for freedom. "Twill choose from among you to form an elite team. I hope that you can deal Helena with a heavy blow, but I do not wish for any unnecessary death or injury because of that. From tomorrow onwards, Ashley will be in charge of this matter. It will be on a voluntary basis, and I hope everyone can take part actively," Irina said. There was another round of cheers. Irina nodded at Ashley, who was standing beside her, and turned to walk off the platform. After this mobilization, it will be akin to declaring war on the Wind Forest once again. "Are the people we have within the Wind Forest all ready?" Irina asked Ashley the moment they entered the office. "Yes. They are all ready." Ashley nodded. "There has been a split within the Wind Forest during this period, and this gave us more chances to get more supporters among the powerhouses. Your Highness, there is one more thing." Ashley looked at Irina hesitantly. "Speak." "The people are the most concerned about Her Majesty's stance. Could you communicate with Her Majesty?" Ashley asked. Irina shook her head slightly, and said, "I am unable to contact the Queen too. However, this has to do with the fate of the elves and the future of our people. The stance of the Queen is not important. What is important is what we truly think." Ashley had a clearer look in her eyes. She nodded, and said, "I will pass this message to our people." Mag returned to the tavern, washed up, and went to the study instead of sleeping. According to what he understood, the current most advanced printing factory on the Norland continent used block printing technique, and that was why all picture books were mainly in black and white. Of course, there were also better quality picture books drawn by hand, and those were more colorful. However, picture books like that were usually very costly, and were generally custom-made. For example, if a certain wealthy man liked colored picture books, they might get an artist to custom-make one. If Mags the plum in the golden vase had not flown away, it would have probably fetched a good price just based on its classic storyline and beautiful illustration. The thought of that made him glance at Titan Tavern. Titan Tavern had just closed for the day. The windows were tightly shut, but the lights were still brightly lit. There was also the shadow of a person passing by occasionally. That probably was the lady boss's room. Thankfully, it's a Mandarin version. They can't read it, so I guess it should not be a problem, right? Mag muttered to himself guiltily. Mag thought seriously about making a printer. He did have a blueprint for a colored printer in his brain, and it was nothing too complicated to make. However, to complete everything including finding the colors, electronic parts, and more, would take him about a year or two. The steam train could only be launched so quickly due to the heavy funding from Scheer and the deployment of various logistical and operational talents. To create his own printer just for a picture book was a little too complicated. System, do you sell second-hand printer? Mag asked inside. Please mind your words, the system, till pay you more. How much more? Double. No matter how much more you pay me, I am a god of cookery cultivation system, and would never sell second-hand printers easily, the system said seriously. Forget it then. You're not the only system around. I'll get one free from Amy's system, Mag said leisurely. 22. The system. The next morning, Mag got up half an hour earlier. It was not because he was excited, he worried that Amy's darn system would give her another breakfast-making mission. Of course, there was another reason. He intended to cook up something a little different for Amy's breakfast. He took out a ball of dough he prepared last night from the refrigerator. After setting the temperature, it was at its best state for the yeast to work. The dough was pressed and kneaded on the table as it transformed into different shapes in Mag's hands. It had been 2 days since he learned how to make the soup dumpling. Mag was not in a rush to show it off, as the Sichuan spicy wontons in red oil had already become Amy's staple for breakfast. Today, he wanted to change things up for them. After the dumpling skin was kneaded, Mag took out the frozen soup that he had made last night from the refrigerator. The frozen soup was a thick, sticky soup made from pig's skin, and would be in this frozen, jelly-like state after it was frozen in the refrigerator. This was the difference between a soup dumpling and a normal dumpling. This was also the soul of the soup dumpling. Before learning how to make a soup dumpling, Mag always thought that the soup in the soup dumpling was inserted with a needle. Other than minced meat, some other fillings included fresh crab meat and crab roe. Crab roe in a soup dumpling was really an irresistible delicacy. Crab meat, crab roe, and other spices would be stir-fried until the oil from the crab meat seeped out. After that, the ingredients for the filling would be mixed together. Before it was even done, the smell was already making one drool. Chapter 2057 New system requested a second-hand color printer for the little mistress. 2 little heads peeked out from the kitchen. They looked up curiously at the pile of bamboo steamers that had steam escaping from them. The fragrance of the dumplings wafted over together with the steam. Mag turned to look at the 2 little fellows with a smile, and said, "Have the 2 of you washed up? If you haven't, go up and wash up first, and you'll be able to have piping hot soup dumplings when you come down." "Father, what are soup dumplings?" Amy asked curiously without moving. "You'll find out later." Mag kept it mysterious. "All right." Amy nodded and turned to go upstairs to wash up. Not long later, the 2 fellows came downstairs. Mag had already switched the fire off. After a while, he brought the 3 bamboo steamers with dumplings out of the kitchen. Mag opened the lid of the bamboo steamers as the 2 little fellows watched intently. The 3 soup dumplings took up almost all the space in the bamboo steamer. The thin bamboo skin was almost translucent. It looked very cute, and it was filled with soup, yet it kept its full, round shape. The folds were even and beautiful, and there was a spot of crab roe in the middle of the bamboo steamer, looking like a blossoming chrysanthemum flower. "Wow, it's pretty." Amy's eyes lit up. She could not resist the urge to poke the soup dumpling. The dumpling sank in a little, but bounced right back up and shook a little, as though it was alive. "It's cute." Amy's eyes lit up. The ones with a yellow dot on the folds are the crab roe soup dumplings, and those without the yellow dot are the normal soup dumplings. Try and see which ones you like. Mag picked up a soup dumpling with a pair of chopsticks. The flat soup dumpling immediately became round like a lantern. The soup filled the dumpling up, but it did not burst. "This just came out of the steamer, and it's very hot inside." Be careful when eating. Have it in small bites. Mag placed a crab roe soup dumpling on each of the two children's plates as he reminded them. Hum. The two little fellows nodded. However, their attention was all caught by the soup dumplings, and Mag did not know if they actually heard him. Boing, boing, boing. Amy poked her soup dumpling with her chopsticks, and watched it wobble on her plate happily. Meanwhile, Annie observed the soup dumpling curiously left and right, as though she wanted to see through it. Mag also picked a crab roe soup dumpling for himself quickly and gently. Before the soup dumpling even noticed, it was picked up gently by its fold, and was quickly placed on Mag's plate. It looked perfect from every angle. On top of that, the dumpling was in its best condition. Throughout the steaming process, the soup did not leak, and it did not lose its shape. There was a technique to eating the soup dumpling. One would have to bite gently on the dumpling skin to break it, and then suck out all the soup slowly before eating the skin and filling. Watch closely at how I eat it, Mag told the two little fellows, and bit gently on the dumpling skin. SSSS. Hot. The soup inside the soup dumpling that was just served was still boiling hot. That bite almost made Mag give up on this dumpling that was just by his mouth. Behind that thin chewy dumpling skin was soup, and the fresh soup would flow right into one's mouth with a small bite. The crab roe was extremely fragrant, and the soup was very fresh. Just a small mouthful of soup would call for more. As for the scald, it was completely suppressed by the deliciousness. When the soup was almost gone, Mag put whatever was left of the dumpling in his mouth. The skin was chewy, and the meat filling that was submerged in the soup was fatty but not greasy and very smooth. On top of that, the crab meat and crab roe were really delicious. This is probably the peak of the crab roe soup dumpling. Mag could not help but praise himself. It was indeed the soup dumpling that he had failed countless times at making. The two fellows watched Mag finish a soup dumpling with their eyes wide open. Gulp. The two of them swallowed their saliva at the same time. Want to give it a try too? Amy went up and bit into the soup dumpling. After that, she put her mouth to the dumpling, and took small sips of the soup. Amy's beautiful eyebrows rose and her eyes sparkled, as though she found no man's land. After finishing the soup, Amy looked up, and exclaimed, "This is fantastic! The crab meat soup is fabulous!" After saying that, Amy picked up the rest of the dumpling with her two hands. The dumpling was too big for this little fellow, and she was unable to eat it in one bite like Mag, so she nibbled on the dumpling in her hands with a blissful smile. Annie could not sit still seeing how delicious the two made the soup dumpling look. She also bit into the dumpling, and sucked out the soup as a smile appeared on her face. The soup was rich and not greasy. The filling was fresh and tender, and the skin was chewy. Such an exquisite and unique dish was really marvelous. Besides, the soup dumpling's cute appearance and the unique eating method made Annie want to draw them in her picture book. After finishing the 3 soup dumplings, Mag was about full, and Annie had also placed her chopsticks down. But Amy did not have enough. She picked her plate up and licked it clean. After that, she looked at Mag expectantly, and asked, "Are there more? I think I can have another 3. New 3 wouldn't be enough for you. There are 3 more in the kitchen." Mag stood up with a smile, and headed to the kitchen to take another steamer of soup dumplings. "Father is the best." Amy raised her 2 little hands happily, and reached out to put a soup dumpling on her plate. After that, she continued eating. "Is little Amy's mission today to learn the smashed cucumber salad?" Mag asked as he took a sip of warm milk. "Yeah," Amy mumbled. The system said that today was the last day, and she had to master the smashed cucumber salad. However, how did Father know? Amy paused and looked at Mag. "You've only learned it halfway yesterday, of course you'll have to learn the remaining half today," Mag said with a smile. Mm. Amy nodded and continued eating her dumpling. "Aren't Big Sister Annie's drawings very beautiful?" Mag asked again. Mm. They're gorgeous, even better than those we bought, Amy said as she nodded her little head. In that case, should we get them printed out so that more people can enjoy the beautiful drawings too? Mag asked with a smile. Yes. That would bring more happiness to more people. Amy nodded in agreement. Sighing, Mag said, but all the printing factories in Rodo can only print in black and white. If we were to get Annie to draw the same things every day, it would be tiring and a waste of a talent. It would be great if we actually had a printing machine that could print out many colors. Yeah, if we have a machine like that, we can print the picture book out ourselves, Amy agreed. Don't you have a wishing well, little Amy? Why don't you make a wish for a fully automated printing machine? If such a small wish can't even be fulfilled, we should just fill the well up. Mag took a sip of milk, and said, it must be a fake wishing well. Life experience system. I feel that there's something wrong with this person, but I have no evidence EK on the system's forum. Life experience systems request post, new system requesting a second-hand color printer for the little mistress. Hope that all the seniors can lend a helping hand and make the price a little prettier. Replies came. Negative emotion system, what a disgrace to the emotion systems. Bootlicker system, exactly, do it right, satisfy all needs, and you'll have everything you want. Resourceful system, which kind? I have everything. I can give it to you at a cheaper price with 100-year free servicing. God of cookery system, what a joke. I almost sent this post out in the morning. Luckily, I insisted on my system's principles and limits. Livestream system in reply to God of cookery system, if your host added just one more copper coin, this post would be yours. Amy played with the little fire dragon in her palm, frowning, and asked, then, do you think that it is appropriate to give me fireball magic? The system. If it weren't for the fact that it had posted too many posts asking for help, and had been banned by the moderator, it would definitely have gone and posted another post for help on the system's forum now. Of course, if you can help me go up one tier, I can consider not having the printing machine, Amy added. The system quickly said, little mistress, could you please complete your mission enthusiastically? The reward for the smashed cucumber salad has already been confirmed, one fully automatic printing machine. The request to go up one tier was too much. Comparatively, a second-hand printing machine was nothing. What to do? My host is still a baby, the system tried to console itself, but it got increasingly angrier as it thought about it. But I am a baby too. Amy ran into the tavern through the back door, and happily said to Mag, Father, I made a wish at the wishing well. It said it would give us a printing machine. That's great. Mag smiled brightly. He had saved tens of thousands of copper coins. Come to think of it, this system was rather useful. The God of cookery system reacted. This fellow system is such a poor thing, come, let's continue to learn to make the smashed cucumber salad. We learned how to smash cucumbers yesterday, so we only need to learn how to make the dressing today. Mag brought Amy into the kitchen. There was no need for any cooking talent or controlling her strength when making the dressing. The amount of each condiment to add was fixed. Amy was a clever child, so she quickly got the hang of it. Mix together one helping of badly smashed cucumber in a bowl of well-mixed dressing, putting them into the refrigerator and waiting for a while. One helping of a rather ugly smashed cucumber salad was considered done. A helping of barely acceptable smashed cucumber salad. Ding dong! Congratulations on completing the Attack on Cucumber mission. Mission reward, a second-hand fully automatic printing machine from the Messier 78 Reflection Nebula. The reward is ready to be released at any time. Due to the gigantic size of the reward, it cannot be placed in the old well. Little mistress, you can decide on the location to place it in, the system announced in Amy's mind. Amy looked up at Mag, and said, Father, the wishing well said that the printing machine is too big to place in the well. Where do we put it? 22. Life Experience System. Mamma mia! They've exploded. There was an awkward silence for 3 seconds before Mag smilingly said, then, let's ask it to put it in the house next door. It belongs to us too. All right. Amy nodded. Keep calm and carry on. The life experience system consoled itself inwardly before releasing the second-hand printing machine that it had bargained for a long time. This second-hand nuclear-powered printing machine had been in the Business Tycoon Systems M78 Nebula's warehouse for more than 2 years, so it sold it to the life experience system for a scrap metal's price. Of course, it was still very costly to buy dozens of tons of scrap metal. But what else could it do? What if the little mistress decided to ask for a power station or a transformer substation after it declined her request? Then, it would really be the end for it. Oh, yes. Although this was a fantasy world, this house had electricity. It was suffering a huge loss. The life experience system's life experience in the alternate world was minus 10,086. It tastes great. Well done, little Amy. Mag tasted the smashed cucumber salad that Amy made. Even though it looked horrible, its taste was still not bad. After all, they were using the same recipe and same steps, so the taste wouldn't differ too much. Hee hee. A happy smile appeared on Amy's little face. Amy carried the plate out of the kitchen, passed a pair of chopsticks to Annie, and looked at her expectantly. Big sister Annie, come and taste my smashed cucumber salad. Annie popped a piece of smashed cucumber salad into her mouth, and her eyes instantly curved into small crescents. After swallowing the cucumber, she gave Amy a thumbs up. Hee hee. I can make smashed cucumber salad for you guys often in the future. Amy also enjoyed the plate smashed cucumber salad in her hands. After all, she made it herself, so it felt very gratifying. After the little one was done eating, Mag couldn't wait to bring Amy to the house next door. It used to be a restaurant. The hall on the first floor was very spacious, and everything was moved out, so it was perfect to accommodate the printing machine. However, it was empty when Mag opened the door. There was no printing machine. Father, does a printing machine look like this? Amy pointed to an old decoration item in a corner. No. That's a dead bonsai. Mag shook his head. After checking thoroughly once, there indeed wasn't any printing machine. Why don't you communicate with the wishing well again? Let's see if there was any problem during the process of teleportation. Mag asked Amy. Oh, I will ask it, then. Amy nodded before saying inwardly, stupid system, where's the printing machine? Why is it not here? Are you lying to us? The reward was already released, the system felt a little guilty, but the printing machine was really not there. Why don't you? Little mistress, go check in the house next door. Father, let's check in the house next door. Maybe this is a stupid wishing well, Amy said to Mag. All right. These idiots often do such things. Mag nodded and brought Amy to the house next door. Coincidentally, that was his too. God of Cookery System. Life Experience System. Indeed, Mag found that giant made an M78 Nebula in the house next door. The 5-meter-tall giant almost burst through the ceiling. And Mag even opened his mouth in shock for a long time when he saw the nuclear-powered logo at the side. The planet of Ultraman was indeed different. Even a printing machine could use nuclear power. Were they trying to print forever? Mag walked around this giant that almost occupied 50 square meters before finding a user's manual in a corner. As an outstanding graduate from the mechanical design specialty, he had no problem with reading the manual. Father, what is this red button? Amy's voice came from the side. Mag took a look, and calmly said, oh, that's the self-destruct button. Then, can I press it? Asked Amy. This street will be gone if you press that, little Amy, Mag replied with a smile. This was even a conservative way of saying it. However, it was nuclear-powered. This alone was enough to defeat all other printing machines. However, this printer wasn't a normal paper printer. This was, in fact, an advanced 3D printer. It came with a design platform. As long as a complete blueprint and detailed settings were given, it could print a tank for you. Perfect. This is really a treasure for designers. Mag's eyes lit up. This would save him a lot of trouble in communicating with the craftsman. This would indeed complete the closed loop from designer to product. There would be no middlemen to take a cut from it. Meanwhile, Mag discovered a room full of printing paper next door. Apart from the paper and raw materials, the printing machine itself didn't need to replace the printing consumables. According to the manual, the consumables that came with the printing machine could allow the machine to work continuously for 100 years. If you couldn't live to be 100 years old, it could even send you off. System, look at how the other systems work. They settle everything once and for all. So perfectly done, Mag commented inwardly. Tui. Embarrassing, the system said disdainfully. Speaking of it, have you found out what Amy's system is? Mag asked again. Silly systems like them should attract one another? The system firmly said, according to the system's code, the systems cannot interact with one another or find out about the identity of the other systems and their hosts. Hence, this system will not go and find out about the other system, nor would I tell host about anything related to it. Fine. I will treat it as a stupid wishing well then. That's not bad, either. Mag nodded. The system. Let's tum it on. Mag got Amy and Annie to stand aside before pressing on the on button. Boom. The printing machine made a continuous sound like a tractor, and the ground began to vibrate violently. The house shook violently along with it. A ton of dust flew out from the printing machine, and the decorations hanging on the ceiling began to drop down, as if a rocket was lit, and was about to take off. Amy took out her magic caster's staff, and set up a frost protection shield above Annie's and her heads before asking Mag with shock, "Father, is the house going to collapse?" Mag quickly turned off the switch, and the roaring monster finally quieted down. Mag swept off a lamp that fell on his head and frowned. It's indeed the printer specially made for Ultraman. Even turning it on is so high profile. What's happening? It's so scary. I could feel the heaven and earth shaking. I thought I was dreaming. It almost threw me off my bed. Romo Street was filled with residents that rushed out onto the streets, and some were even still in their pajamas. There was shock on everyone's face, displaying the fear of this sudden vibration. Run, miss. The ground is moving. The little maid ran into the room, pulled Eofi, who just sat up in a daze, and ran out. Wait a sec, Eofi put on a jacket, pulled a heavy book out from under her pillow, and held it in her arms before she followed her maid out. Miss, let's run first. Why are you still holding onto a book? The maid stared at the book in Eofi's arms curiously. Don't ask so much, little girl. You can't read this book. Eofi knocked on the little maid's head with her two knuckles with a blush. She hid the book within her clothes, afraid that others would see it. What's the big deal about it? The little maid rubbed her glabella, feeling rather aggrieved. It wasn't just Romo Street. With Romo Street as the epicenter, there were obvious vibrations within a few kilometers. At the Royal Palace 5 kilometers away from Romo Street. Why are there vibrations? André, who was holding his morning court, asked gravely. All the courtiers in the hall looked shocked too. Many events had happened in Roder recently. The courtiers couldn't help worrying about sudden events that could arise. Soon, a courtier strode into the great hall, and respectfully reported, "Your Majesty. A small earthquake has happened on Romo Street. The scale is small, so there shouldn't be much damage caused." André frowned after hearing that. Rodo hasn't had an earthquake for a long time. We're in times of trouble now. Send someone to check it out. Yes. That official quickly strode off. As this printing machine startup was even more conspicuous than a nuclear submarine, Mag decided not to use it for the time being to prevent arousing unwanted suspicions. Amy walked out of the house, and looked at the neighbors as she said, "There are so many people on the street today." Yes. Everyone came out to bathe in the Sunday. Mag nodded. Eofi was about to return to her house after she discovered that there weren't any more vibrations when she saw Mag and his family coming out from the house diagonally across from her. Befuddled, she said, "Why are they coming out from that house?" The little maid was obviously still afraid. She pulled Eofi's sleeve, and said, "Miss, why don't we sunbathe a little before going back in? See, the sun is big and round. It feels so warm. Then you will sunbathe here by yourself. I want to go back to sleep first. Don't disturb my sleep with such small matters in the future." Eofi walked straight into her house without looking back. The little maid. But everyone ran out. "System, help me transport this printer back to Chaos City. The space here is limited, and it will attract unwanted attention." Mag began to negotiate with the system after he returned to the tavern. Judging from the neighbors' reaction, there should be people conducting checks very soon. It would be unusual if nobody paid attention to such major Earth movements. The system proudly declared, "This system doesn't accept such assignments. Such an assignment is within your professional expertise. You have set up so many transportation routes for delivering ingredients, shouldn't you recoup some of your investment by delivering some other things? It sounds reasonable." The system was almost convinced. "We'll give you 9,999 copper coins for soundproof equipment and to deliver this antique printing machine back to Chaos City. Where can you find such a good deal?" Mag bluffed. "That's all." The system sounded unsatisfactory. 10,000 copper coins then. From 4 digits to 5 digits right away. Deal. Mag curled his lips and let the system send the printing machine back to the textile factory in the north of Chaos City. He wrote a letter and placed it on the printing machine. Irina would understand after reading it. Indeed, the systems were all idiots. The system sent the printing machine away, and Mag went to clean up the scene. He made the house look like the epicenter of an earthquake, and removed the traces of the printing machine. As expected, a group of officials soon rushed over to conduct checks on Romo Street, but they left after concluding it truly had been an earthquake. Lay's potato chips, 1 experience points, click to exchange. Way long spicy gluten strips, 1 experience points, click to exchange. Kiss Hiro jelly, 1 experience points, click to exchange. Dove chocolate, 3 experience points, click to exchange. EEE special grade steel chef's knife, 100 experience points, click to exchange. Kale want this, this and this. Amy was very satisfied with this brand new version of the exchange center. She easily spent all of the over 100 experience points she had, and bought a bunch of snacks. Amy tore open a bag of potato chips. As she munched on them, she said, "System, you make me very happy. I feel that I have turned into a snack exchange center. I'm a life experience system, but I have no experience as a system." There was a hint of helplessness and resignation in the system's voice. The other hosts sailed up to the peak of their lives and lived happily ever after receiving their systems. Meanwhile, its host used her system to trade for snacks after receiving a system, and lived a slacker's carefree life from now on. Sometimes life was just like this. It was completely different from you imagined it to be. K-Mag went out for marketing as usual. On his way home, he saw a few adorable wooden puppets hanging on the shelf of the grocery shop diagonally across. Hence, he put his basket at his door, and walked over to the grocery shop. The puppets were handmade by the shop's owner in his free time. There were all kinds of animals and little dolls. They looked exquisite and cute. One could buy one for just 50 copper coins. Mag bought 10 little animal puppets at once. The price was very reasonable for these toys that took a lot of time and effort to make. The boss gave Mag another small monkey because Mag was generous and a neighbor. Mag lowered his head to fiddle with the monkey, and was about to return home. He suddenly sensed something falling onto his head after taking a few steps, and instinctively stepped to his side. Bang! A half-a-man-thick pillar landed right where he was standing. Mag looked at that pillar. Such a killer litter could even kill a cow. Then, he looked up, and his gaze landed on a beautiful woman leaning against the window. That woman looked coquettish. There was a hint of worry and a bit of expectation in her mannerism. Her beautiful eyes were blinking, and her clothes were slightly disheveled. A part of her collarbone was even revealed when she looked down. Why did this scene feel so familiar? Eofi flicked her hair, showed her most charismatic profile, and apologetically said, "Boss Hades, are you all right? I was about to close my window, but the rod fell down." As soon as she spoke, Mag recalled. Was this the Frickaing scene whereby Pan Jinlian first met Ximenqing? However, if Ximenqing had encountered such a gigantic rod, he most probably would have died right on the spot. In that case, the over 100 chapters of the exciting story wouldn't have taken place, and the Song dynasty wouldn't have ended. However, why did Eofi suddenly decide to use this trick? Was she really careless? Or did she deliberately imitate the story? Mag immediately felt a little guilty when he thought of the plum in the golden vase that flew into someone's window. Perhaps. But if that would be a little problematic. Mag nodded, and replied, "I'm fine, just a little taken aback." He was about to go off. It was best not to have any special encounter with this beautiful lady boss. He didn't know if this lady boss had a former husband that sold pancakes and a brother-in-law that could kill a tiger with his bare hands. Wait a sec. Eofi quickly stopped him and ran downstairs. She opened the door, and stopped Mag, who was about to go home. With self-reproach, she said, "Boss Hades, don't be in a hurry to go. I almost hurt you, so I have to apologize first." "It's fine. Just be careful in the future. Don't use such a thick log to support the window. Normal people can't withstand it." Mag pulled his hand back discreetly. Eofi blushed. She had simply suddenly realized that Hades was passing by her house. She had then thought of a scene in the book, and got overly excited. Then, she had accidentally tossed the pillar down. Fortunately, it hadn't hit Hades. However, it didn't go as the book described. Why was Mr. Hades still ignoring her? Perhaps it was because the pillar didn't hit him. "If Miss Eofi is fine, I will go back first." Mag thought that it wasn't nice to let Eofi hold onto him on the street. Gossips might arise if the neighbors saw them. If the gossip got to Irina, both taverns would be razed to the ground. "Don't be in a hurry to go, Boss Hades. In fact, I have something to tell you. It's regarding your tavern's future. Are you really not considering coming in?" Eofi said to Mag smilingly. "I think the future of my tavern is great. Yesterday's sales even broke past 100,000. Mag smiled. Eofi's expression froze immediately. 100,000 copper coins in a night. That only happened at Titan Tavern during the time that her parents ran it. However, how long has the Saipan Tavern been open? It was a tavern that had only been open for less than 10 days, and its sales figure had already broken through 100,000 copper coins. That is really an awesome result." Eofi chuckled politely, albeit embarrassingly. "Yes. It's really slow progress." Mag nodded. 222 Eofi. How could he say that? Only Saipan Tavern's sales could break 100,000 on the entire Romo Street now. Titan Tavern, whose sales figure could surpass 10,000, was already considered as a popular shop, However, Mag used slow to describe such astonishing results. "Does Miss Eoffy still have anything to tell me?" asked Mag. Due to the great discrepancy in her expectations, Eoffy's confidence was completely eroded. Depressed, she said, "It's regarding Rodu's liquor tasting. It's the most prestigious liquor tasting event in Rodu's tavern industry. It will bring great fame and customers to the tavern if you can get a good ranking in this liquor tasting, but that shouldn't be attractive to you at all." Liquor tasting. Mag's eyes lit up when he heard that. To Mag, who was searching hard for a shortcut to expand the tavern's influence, this was equivalent to an event that was custom-made for him. Mag smilingly said to Eoffy, "I wonder if Miss Eoffy is free? Why don't we go in and discuss it in detail?" "Hey!" Eoffy was stunned. She stared at Mag with bewilderment. "Is it not convenient?" Mag, too, felt that he was being too abrupt. "Of course, it is convenient. Please come in." Eoffy quickly stepped to the side to let Mag come in. Unlike its name, the internal decor of Titan Tavern was like a warm home. That caught Mag by surprise. After all, this was actually one of the most happening taverns on Romo Street. "Take a seat here. Do you want a drink?" Eoffy arranged for Mag to sit near the bar counter, and looked at him with a smile. "It's early in the morning, I will not drink." Mag shook his head. He looked at Eoffy, and said, "I would like to ask you about the details of the liquor tasting event. Judging from the popularity of your tavern, I think you will be able to get a full house even if you don't join this liquor tasting event." Eoffy sat opposite Mag, and looked at him with her beautiful eyes. "However, I think you also have the ambition of letting more people know about your wine. All men have ambitio." Mag nodded, finding it a good reason. "Yes. Men are much more ambitious than women. They all want to have multiple wives," Eoffy said with a smile. Mag raised his brow. That escalated quickly. Eoffy continued, "The liquor tasting event is a big annual event for the liquor industry in Rodu. The taverns of Rodu, and even all over the Roth Empire, would take out their best wine at the liquor tasting event to compete. If they could emerge victorious in the liquor tasting event, or even win a gold medal, the popularity of that tavern would boom, and it would become the next star tavern in Rodu." "Is there a limitation to the registration? Where and when exactly is it held?" Mag asked. "You can qualify as long as you're a tavern owner, but you have to use wine brewed specially in your tavern. It has already been a month since the preparation for this year's event started, and the event itself will be officially launched 3 days later. Today is the last day for registration," Eoffy said. "Set. In that case, can I still make it for the registration?" Mag did not think that time was so tight and today was the last day. Nodding, Eoffy said, "I know the organizer of the event. If you would like to take part, I can help you with the registration. All you need to do is to send the wine over today." "Thank you so much. Saipan Tavern has just opened, and I hope that it could be more known through the liquor tasting event." Mag knew that this was an opportunity that was hard to come by. Mag stood up and got ready to take the wine sample. "There's no rush, Mr. Hades." Eoffy pulled Mag's sleeve gently. Mag glanced at her hand, and then at the woman. Did she want him to sell himself over this little thing? Titan Tavern is also intending to take part in the liquor tasting event, but the wine that we are sending is rather lacking in texture. I hope you could help me taste it, and see if there's anything I can improve on." Miss saw the seriousness in Eoffy's pleading eyes and hesitated. In the end, he nodded and said, "Actually, I'm not very knowledgeable about wine brewing, but if you trust me, I can give it a try. Please hold on." Eoffy was elated. She walked towards the wine cabinet, and took out a bottle of wine and a glass from the cabinet in the center. "This is the signature wine of Titan Tavern. Have a try." Eoffy placed the glass of wine in front of Mag. Mag picked up the coarse ceramic glass, and took a whiff of the wine. It smelled like grape wine, and its fragrance was so light it could almost be neglected. Just that faint fragrance made Mag's anticipation of the wine go downhill. Since it was named Titan, the smell of the wine should be as impactful as its name. That would live up to people's expectations of the name. Eofi, who was full of anticipation, felt her heart stop for a while when she saw Mag's expression. Mag took a sip and closed his eyes to taste it. Nothing much to taste. The wine was like water. If it did not bum a little and have a little fragrance of wine, Mag would think Eofi poured him a glass of cold water. It was very difficult to imagine that a wine like this could actually become a signature wine of a tavern. Of course, there was also something that took Mag by surprise. This was actually a grape spirit which reminded him of brandy. However, this was not comparable to brandy. Mag opened his eyes, and met Eofi's nervous gaze. Eofi could already guess from Mag's expression, but she still asked, "Mr. Hades, what do you think?" "Miss Eofi, do you want to hear something nice or something real?" Mag asked her. "TVE heard nice things every day. I'd rather you tell me the truth," Eofi said sincerely. Mag placed the glass down, and said, the wine was tasteless, and had a very distorted fragrance which disappeared quickly, and there was no lingering taste. Eofi opened her mouth and looked at Mag, defeated. "Is it really that bad?" Although she did not make it to the ranks for 5 consecutive years of the liquor tasting event, Eofi had yet to hear such critique that made Titan's wine sound worthless. The servant maid at the side looked at Mag angrily. How could someone bash up the wine that their young mistress made like that? Mag looked at the hurt Eofi, and realized he seemed to have accidentally revealed his true nature. He quickly comforted her, saying, "Of course, the wines from the other taverns on Romo Street might be even worse." Eofi felt as though she was shot in her heart once more. "TL, get my wine." Mag could sense the atmosphere, and was ready to scoot. "Hold on." Eofi pressed Mag down again. "I have another bottle of wine. Please help me try it." Mag saw her perseverance, hesitated for a while, and sat back down. Eofi walked to the wine cabinet, stepped on a chair, and took out an exquisite bottle from the topmost cabinet. "Young mistress, that is," the servant maid said nervously when she saw the wine in Eofi's hand. Eofi ignored her, and brought the wine to the counter. She looked at Mag, and said, "Mr. Hades, try this." Pop. Eofi pulled the cork. A light, refreshing scent wafted out. "This is..." Mag's eyes lit up. Such a mild and elegant fragrance might be incomparable to Mao Tai's, but it was still shocking. It did resemble an authentic brandy, the very old kind at that. Its unique fragrance was one only present in a grape spirit that had been fermented long enough. Aging like fine wine would probably be how this could be described. Eofi took a new glass, and poured the wine out. The color was a beautiful gold, and the liquid swirled in the glass, sparkling like a gem. The elegant and fine grape fragrance, the rich aged wood aroma, and the clear golden liquid all showed the quality of this glass of wine. On the Norland continent, other than Hannah's rum, this was the second wine that shocked Mag. It had the fragrance of brandy. It was pure enough, and had been fermented underground for long enough. Additionally, it was worlds apart from the one that Eofi gave him just now. Mag took a sip of the wine. The liquid slipped into his mouth gradually. It had a very soft texture, and was sweet and cold. Mag closed his eyes and indulged in the joyful experience of tasting the wine. After a very long time, Mag opened his eyes. The fragrance lingered. It was a very elegant, comfortable, and enjoyable experience. Mag looked at Eofi, and said sincerely, "This is an incredible wine. The taste is mild, and it is sweet and cold. The fragrance is very enticing, and it lingers in your mouth after drinking it. Very enchanting." Eofi finally smiled. She lifted her chin slightly, and said proudly, "This is Titan liquor. So is the wine that I drank just now fake." Mag glanced at the wine bottle at the side. Eofi froze. That's the wine our young mistress made. How could it be fake wine? The servant maid at the side interrupted. This. Mag looked at the wine bottle Eofi was holding in her arms. This is the wine my father brewed more than 30 years ago, Eofi said calmly. Mag glanced at Eofi and fell silent for a while. After that, he consoled, it's all right. Not everyone could take over their father's business. Eofi raised her beautiful brows, and actually felt like blowing her top. Miss Eofi, please do not misunderstand me. What I mean is, sometimes, talent is predestined. If something is not suitable for us, we can give it up, Mag explained. Eofi started shaking. Don't understand? It's like this bottle of wine. Even though it's almost your age, you're still unable to come up with a brew half as good as this, Mag continued. Go on. Go on. Eofi's brows were almost about to stand on their ends. Go on. Mag looked at her innocently. Eofi took in a deep breath and calmed herself down before she forced out a smile, and said, your little mouth is as sweet as honey. Very few people praise me like that, Mag said sincerely. The corner of Eofi's mouth twitched. If it were not for her years of experience in the tavern that made her extra good-tempered, she would have stormed off. This is a bottle of good wine. If Miss Eofi were to attend the liquor tasting event with this bottle of wine, I think you could win with rather good standing, Mag said as he pointed to the bottle of wine in Eofi's arms. Besides, the quality of this bottle of wine should be able to make Titan Tavern's business boom or even bring it out of Romo Street. Yes, this bottle of wine won the top prize in the first liquor tasting event 28 years ago. Eofi nodded. In that case, 15 years ago, my parents died in a robbery case. The perpetrator came to the tavern after we were closed for the day, killed them, and took all the money. From that day on, no one could brew the authentic Titan liquor anymore. Eofi's eyes reddened, but she was still as calm. Mag fell silent. He saw the change in Eofi's gaze. Usually, those with both parents who passed away would have most probably taken the script for a protagonist. A woman like Eofi probably took the harem politics script of an imperial concubine in the palace. Of course, Mag was still deeply sympathetic towards Eofi's experiences. Apologies, I'm sorry for my rash words just now, Mag said. It's all right. What you said is true. Eofi shook her head. She smiled, and said, it's just like what you said, the wine I brewed can't even be compared to the one my father brewed. It would even sully his name. Mag fell silent again. That was not wrong at all. Young mistress just didn't want Titan liquor to cease to exist. Do you know how much effort she had put in all these years? Before Madam and Master passed away, she had never brewed wine before, the little maid said with her face red with fury. Mela, cut it out. Eofi shook her head at the little maid. Mag could not help but ask, so, you are just doing it without knowing how? A maiden, who had no experience in brewing wine and had lost her father since she was young, had to take up an entire tavern. On top of that, she even made the business boom, and that did sound like an encouraging story. However, throwing out the disguise of being inspirational, wasn't all this nonsense? Wine brewing was not like cooking. One could not throw everything into a pot and still whip out a dish. If the steps were wrong, wine could not be made, and even storing the wine was knowledge on its own. Not doing it without knowing how. Eofi's face reddened and her chest shook as she said agitatedly, my father left me a wine brewing manual with a record of all the wines that he brewed. I learned from that manual. Just that. Mag frowned. You didn't learn the essence of it. I'm still learning, Eofi emphasized. Your learning period isn't short at all. Mag nodded. Eofi said resolutely, sooner or later, I will make Titan liquor reappear. Mag looked at Eofi with a shake of his head, and said, you're going in the wrong direction. You won't be able to brew the real Titan liquor in your life. Eofi was stunned. She looked at Mag, pressed her lips together, and her eyes reddened. However, she managed to hold her tears back. Mayla's heart went out to her young mistress, and she glared at Mag. If you trust me, Miss Eofi, you can bring me to your brewery, Mag told Eofi. He was a great person, it was just that his heart softened easily. Of course, he also pitied the wine. Such a good wine should be passed down. Otherwise, it would be quite a pity. Of course. Eofi nodded. Although she did not know what Mag wanted to do, she still led Mag to the back of the tavern. Her guard was down as long as Mag could not brew anything better than Titan liquor. Titan Tavern was twice the size of Saipan Tavern, and there was a rather large brewery behind the operating area. The moment one entered the brewery, the thing that stood out the most was the distillation unit right in the center. There was a faint wine fragrance in the air, and there was a little cellar at the side. Mag went up to check the old-looking distillation unit, and quickly found the reason for Eofi's wine being as tasteless as water. Is there an issue? Eofi went up to ask Mag, who was shaking his head. Miss Eofi, when you brew your wine, is there white smoke and wine fragrance coming out? Mag asked with a smile. Yes, yes. It's a grand sight when our young mistress is brewing wine. Miss nodded proudly. Mayla. Eofi glared at her. She then turned to nod at Mag. Titan liquor's brewing is like that. No, it's only like that when you brew Titan liquor. Mag shook his head with a smile. A set of distilling equipment that had been used for 34 years should have been scraped even if it had been made using stainless steel. This distillation equipment couldn't form a sealed distillation space. This meant a lot of liquor escaped during the distillation process, and the excessive interaction with air caused the liquor's purity to greatly decrease. Furthermore, the design of this distillation equipment actually had a lot of defects. The conversion efficiency was low, and the operation was very complicated. If the user wasn't this distillation equipment's designer, or didn't go through professional training, it would be very difficult to control it. Frankly speaking, it was much worse than Hannah's set. Mag had designed the entire set of equipment for Hannah's rum brewery, so naturally he could see the defects in this set of equipment. But that was how father brewed the liquor back then, Eofi said with a frown. She had seen how her father was surrounded by steam during brewing when she entered the cellar as a young girl. This set of equipment is too old, and its productivity is already low to begin with. There is also something wrong with the way you use it. The essence of the distilled spirit is in that steam, and yet you let it escape. That's why the liquor you brewed is tasteless like water. Mag looked at Eofi, and said, if I have guessed correctly, your distillation output is extremely low, so you have to increase the water usage during the mixing, and that further decreases the liquor's quality. Eofi stared at Mag with disbelief and an open mouth. Did this fellow observe her secretly? My Mao Tai's brewing process is similar to your Titan liquors, that's why I can pinpoint the problems with your equipment. Of course, there might also be a problem with your brewing techniques, but I can't say much, as I haven't seen how you distill your liquor, Mag explained. Eofi finally understood. She reached out to caress that old distillation equipment. After a long time and seemingly setting her mind to it, she turned around, and sincerely said to Mag, Mr. Hades, can I ask you to modify this equipment for me? I am willing to pay you an appropriate fee. There's no need for a fee. Just take it as reciprocation for Miss Eofi telling me about the liquor tasting, Mag shook his head smilingly. He took out the measuring tape to measure the dimensions of this brewery. After standing there and pondering for a while, he said to Eofi, may I see Miss Eofi's brewing manual? This, hesitation appeared on Eofi's face. Don't be mistaken. I'm not after your brewing manual. I simply want to custom make a set of distillation equipment for you according to your brewing methods. We will settle everything in one go and minimize any operational mistakes, Mag explained. Eofi stared at Mag, and hesitated for a moment before she nodded, and said, "Please give me a minute." Shortly after, Eofi returned with a yellowed booklet, and passed it to Mag solemnly. The booklet looked old. Its craft paper cover was already torn, but it was still very clean. It was obvious that Eofi treasured it very much. Flipping open the little booklet, Mag soon found the records of the Titan Liquors brewing method. It was almost as Mag guessed, the Titan Liquors brewing method was similar to brandy's brewing method. All the ingredients and formulae that were needed to brew this liquor were recorded in the manual, including all the procedures in detail. However, the details on how to operate the brewing machine were minimal. Eofi's father was at the prime of his life then, so he didn't consider the issue of passing on his legacy. The operation, which he knew very well, naturally didn't need to be recorded in detail. And because of that, it made the path of becoming a brewer for Eofi, who had no experience in brewing at all, very difficult. Finally, there were 2 incomplete drawings of his modification of the distillation apparatus at the end. Mag closed the booklet, and seriously said to Eofi, "Your father was an outstanding brewer and a designer who was very imaginative. My father would have been very happy if he could have heard your praises." A smile appeared on Eofi's face, and she proudly said, "This brewery, the whole tavern, and this underground cellar were all designed by him. The steps of the brewing process were very well documented. I believe Miss Eofi is already familiar with them, but your brewery needs to be torn down and rebuilt." Mag looked into Eofi's eyes, and said, "You should start your own era, and not defend the glory that your father left behind." Eofi was quiet for a moment before nodding with a solemn expression. Mag smilingly said, "I will draw the brewery's design and the distillation equipment's blueprints for you. You can get a few blacksmiths to build the spare parts, and I will come to assemble them for you." Eofi felt warmth in her heart. She had been supporting the tavern by herself. She flirted to sell the liquor, and had heard a lot of gossip about her, but she had never thought of relying on anybody. However, in that fleeting moment, she seemed to see a glimpse of her father in Mag. Perhaps they were both outstanding brewers, or perhaps they both had wisdom and capability that differed from those of ordinary people. Eofi looked at Mag, and an impulse suddenly arose in her heart. "Thank you very much. I don't even know how to repay you. I can only mar. It's a pity that you're a woman, otherwise I would definitely become sworn brothers with you." Mag sighed softly. Eofi swallowed the words that she almost spouted out. She stared at Mag for a while before forcing a smile. "That really is a pity. Oh, yes, did your father have any liquor collection? If I am not wrong, the Titan liquor should taste better as it ages." Mag asked. Eofi said, "Father did keep some liquor in the cellars, but he had placed a seal on every cellar. I can only open it when it's due. I have only opened one small cellar in all these years. Can you please bring me to take a look?" Mag's interest was piqued. He was certain that the small cellar next to the brewery wasn't used to store liquor for a long time. "This way, please." Eofi brought Mag to a corner of the brewery. There was a heavy locked manhole cover at the corner. A magical screen appeared immediately when the manhole cover was opened. Eofi waved the jade tablet that she hung on her waist above the screen. The screen disappeared immediately, and a wooden ladder appeared in its place. "Elle got a magic caster to add this screen a few years ago to prevent theft, and this cellar can act as a temporary refuge in case of emergency too," Eofi explained. "It's not bad. It will be even better if only we can improve it a little." Mag nodded. This could only withstand a third-tier attack. He could destroy it with just a poke of his finger. A faint liquor's fragrance came from below as soon as the screen was removed. The two of them went down the ladder. They saw over 10 cellars with a seal on it on both sides of the long walkway. Mag's eyes widened with disbelief. Mag tilted his head, and asked Eofi, "Did your father dig up everything under the tavern and fill it with liquor?" Eofi regretfully said, "The space was indeed as big as the tavern, but he had spent 10 years of his time, and 2 of the cellars were not filled." Mag looked at Eofi with a different expression. This was a real hidden rich woman. Cellars that were filled with aged liquor that was decades old. Who would need a bicycle in this case? No one could have guessed that such a valuable treasure was hidden underground. Mag stared hard at Eofi, and asked, "You have such precious liquor in your cellars, and yet you used that liquor to fool your customers." "But all these cellars are sealed," Eofi replied with a frown. "Rib." Mag threw the seal onto the floor. "Eyes no longer sealed, and you now have 300 barrels of 30-year-old Titan liquor," Mag said with a smile. Eofi stared at the seal on the floor with her mouth slightly agape before looking at the doors of the cellar. "This is the wealth that your father left for you. He didn't mean for you to keep them all in the cellars to reminisce about him. Instead, you should continue to let them rule the world of liquor, just like what your father did before." Mag tore away the old lock on the door, and gently pushed open the cellar's doors. The faint fragrance of the oak barrels greeted their nose. Even though they were underground, the ventilation system was very well done. There was no rotting smell even after decades. "Of course, I hope you can already fill this cellar with the Titan liquor that you brewed after the Titan liquor in this cellar is finished," Mag said to Eofi, who was a little out of sorts. Eofi looked at Mag, and solemnly nodded, "I will." Mag entered the cellar, and reached out to touch the oak barrels. He suggested, "I personally suggest that you use the liquor in this cellar to take part in this year's liquor tasting, and then use this batch of Titan liquor to replace the liquor that you are selling in your tavern now. Put it in small bottles, and increase its individual price to put Titan Tavern back in the realm of high-end taverns." "What price should I pick then?" "At least 2,000 copper coins. This is a real master's legacy. It's one less bottle left in the world for every single bottle consumed." "But my father only sold them for 200 copper coins per bottle back then," Eofi exclaimed. "That was the price of commodities 20 years ago. You have to take inflation into consideration, sister. The price of pork was only 5 copper coins per 500 grams back then, and if you can find pork that is priced at 20 copper coins per 500 grams now, you can be sure that it is problematic." Mag rolled his eyes. Furthermore, how could high-end liquor that won the Liquor Tasting Scold Award only sell for 200 copper coins per bottle? This boss was really cute. "Oh, yes. You have to limit the number of bottles you sell daily, and they can only be consumed in the tavern." "Why?" "Because you only have 12 cellars of liquor, and the Titan liquor needs to age to give it its soul. Without aging for 10 to 20 years, it cannot be considered as a good liquor. Therefore, you have to calculate how much liquor to sell per day to make sure that the liquor in these 12 cellars can support your tavern's normal operation for 20 years. As for restricting the consumption in the tavern, it is to prevent the scalpers from bringing the liquor out and selling it outside, and to prevent the prevalence of fake liquor." "Why would the yellow cows do that? Are they some kind of magic beast with wits?" Eofi exclaimed. "That's not important, all right." Mag sighed. The two of them came out of the cellar. Eofi was blushing and slightly panting. The little maid looked at Mag warily, and she also looked at her young mistress worriedly. She had no idea what happened to them in the cellar. "Thank you so much, Mr. Hades," Eofi said to Mag with gratitude. "You're being too polite, Miss Eofi. I'll go get the liquor now, and I'll need you to help me to register for that liquor tasting." Mag shook his head slightly. "I'll believe the liquor that you brewed will wow everyone at the liquor tasting event. Actually, I expect the Titan liquor to reclaim its glory at the liquor tasting event more." "Oh, yes. I have some questions for Mr. Hades regarding the distillation equipment's problems." 30 minutes later, Mag came out of Titan Tavern with his hand on his back. It was really difficult to explain the principle of machinery to women. Father was pulled into Titan Tavern for 1 hour by a pretty big sister. He came out with his hand on his back. Amy, who was writing her diary by the window, saw that scene and added that into her diary. Mag returned to the tavern, and sent a bottle of Mao Tai to Eofi. It wasn't that the whiskey wasn't good enough. It was because he felt that it was enough to show off once, and he should save some pride for his colleagues. As for why he was helping Eofi so enthusiastically, it was all business. He had to leave Roduz sooner or later, and Saipan Tavern would most probably close down. For the value of the over 100 houses on Romo Street, a significant tavern that would exist for a long time would ensure that he wouldn't lose money. If Mao Tai and Titan Liquor could both get the gold award at this year's liquor tasting, these shiny twin stars would attract all the liquor lovers' attention to Romo Street. As long as they had their attention, the business would naturally revive when the people returned. The value of the half of the street that he bought would naturally increase as well. This was a business that wouldn't lose money. As for being interested in Eofi? Were you joking? How could that ever happen? He had a beautiful wife at home. This is the reason why you came out of Titan Tavern with a hand on your back. Irina crossed her arms, leaned against the wall, and looked at Mag judgingly. No. Amy might be mistaken about something. That wasn't what happened. Mag had an aggrieved look. My back, of course, would hurt after I work for a long time. Ho ho. Irina sneered. Of course, it would hurt after you worked for a long time. Should I be considerate to you? Mag quickly explained, no. I meant I was working hard at explaining the principles and usage of the distillation equipment in the cellar. In the cellar some more. You guys are really romantic. Irina's gaze was getting increasingly dangerous. She was already holding a folding chair in her hand. Why have I never discovered that you are so good at time management? You can even explain the equipment's usage at the same time. It's not what you think it is. Oh crap. Mag felt it got worse as he tried to explain. He looked at Amy, who was holding onto her diary at the side. Amy shrugged with an innocent expression. You said children have to be truthful. Mag made a forced smile. It was an impeccable answer. His gaze landed on Irina again. He regained his composure. As a man, he had to fight for his status in his family for himself. How could he just take this lying down? It was an insult to his masculinity. Wifey, calm down. Sit here and I'll give you a massage. This folding chair is not bad. It's perfect for me to sit on it. Why are you getting angry? It's not worth it if you hurt your health. My heart will ache. Why did it never cross your mind that I wouldn't dare to even if I had that intention? Come, drink some water. It's hard for you to travel for such a long distance. I'll boil some hot water for you to soak your feet later. It'll be very comfortable for you. He would have climbed into my bed if he had had the guts. Why will the little b*****s out there ever stand a chance? Ha, men. Irina put down her pen and closed the diary. After sitting on the bed for some time, Irina got up and opened the adjacent room's door. Mag, who was drawing the blueprints at his study desk, heard the sound, and turned his head around with surprise. Irina was wearing a light gauze night dress, and her perfect body could be seen vaguely. Her face seemed to have an enticing glow under the warm light. However, Mag felt a little afraid when he saw her mysterious smile. Perhaps, she was going back on her word? He flicked a quick glance at her left hand. After making sure that she wasn't holding a folding chair, he heaved a breath of relief. Mag got up, and smilingly asked, "What's up? What's the matter?" "Why? We're husband and wife. Can't I come look for you at night even if I don't have any issues?" Irina asked with a smile. Her thin gauze dress slid down a little when she leaned to her side. Looking at that exquisite collarbone and snowy smooth skin, Mag's Adam's apple couldn't help moving. He had seen so many so-called goddesses. He thought he could already take it easy when it came to women. However, in front of Irina, he was mesmerized, and his heart couldn't help but race. It felt just like first love. As if she had sensed Mag's change, Irina's lips curled up a little. She sashayed into the room, and closed the door with a click. Mag looked at the locked door and at Irina, who was walking towards him. He felt something was definitely going to happen tonight. Irina approached him, and stopped about 50 centimeters away from him. She should have taken a bath as her face was still red and moist. He could smell the fragrance on her body. It was the faint fragrance of the spring of life and a hint of jasmine. It was a comforting and intoxicating scent. Irina looked up at him with a sparkling gleam in her eyes. A blush tinged her face, and her breathing seemed to hasten. Even the air seemed to be getting a little intimate. Mag took half a step forward, and their bodies almost touched each other as he teasingly said, "Why? Does a queen feel shy too?" "No, a queen will never be dictated." Irina extended her hands. Mag fell onto the bed, and she came onto him. The next morning, Mag was woken up by the sound of knocking. Mag sat up on the bed with a hand on his back. He glanced at the sated-looking beauty who was still sleeping at his side, and he couldn't help but smile smugly too. "Father, we're starving," Amy's voice came from beyond the door. Mag quickly got up to put on his clothes. He pulled the blanket over Irina, and covered her long and fair legs before he opened the door and went out. Looking at Amy and Anna, who were standing at the door, he smilingly said, "Why? Are you hungry?" "Yes." Both the little ones nodded at the same time. However, Amy poked her head into Mag's room to take a look as she said, "Mother isn't in her room. Did she sleep with you last night?" Mag quickly closed the door, and smilingly explained, She said there was a mouse in her room last night. She came to sleep in my room because she was afraid, so, you guys didn't sleep well, because you spent the night whacking the mouse." Amy was thoughtful. "Hence, you guys woke up late." "Yes, that's it." Mag held back his laughter. He accepted the excuse that the little one gave him, and said, "Let her sleep a little more. I'll go make breakfast for you guys." "All right." Amy nodded and followed Mag downstairs obediently. A mouse. Back in the room, Irina opened her eyes and stretched out lazily. Her gaze was still a little confused. She pouted, and said, "He should have been gentler." Mag made a table full of scrumptious breakfast. He specially scooped a big bowl of soybean milk for himself. Amy went up to get her mom down for breakfast. Shortly after, Irina came down in a homely long dress. Her gait was slightly unnatural. Mag quickly got up to pull the chair out for her. He held her hand naturally, and helped her sit down. Irina's finger tickled his palm, and she glared at him with a dash of lingering and a hint of grief. She looked just like a newlywed wife with her charming behavior. Mag placed a bowl of 10 essence herbal soup in front of Irina, and smilingly said, "I brewed this specially for you. I have put in some spring of life. You deserve some nourishment. You're drinking that." Irina looked at Mag's soybean milk. "I deserve some nourishment too." Mag nodded in agreement. Irina seemed to think of something, and a blush instantly rose up on her cheeks as she glared at Mag. Mag sat down at his seat with a smile. He took a bite of the yushao, and drank 2 sips of soybean milk. He was also hungry, and needed to replenish his energy. Mag cleaned up the table after breakfast. He worked too hard last night, so all outdoor activities were cancelled today. He only wanted to recuperate at home. Irina flipped through Annie's picture books. Amazed, she commented, "Annie's so good at drawing, and she's very fast too. She has already finished 3 picture books while I was away for 3 days. Yes. She has a pair of hands that are envied by every comic artist." Mag nodded in agreement. Perhaps this was a comic artist that had the tentacle monster's natural talent. "Oh, yes, what is that big machine of yours for?" Irina asked Mag. "It's for Annie to print her picture books." "That's a machine that can print colored picture books," Mag explained. "But nobody at the factory knows how to use it." Irina shook her head. "It's fine. LOL returned to operate it myself 2 days later. Mag wasn't going to let someone else operate it, either. That was a nuclear-powered printing machine. If it exploded due to mishandling, Chaos City would be completely leveled. Mag made a pot of tea, and poured himself a cup. He was reading a book about abnormal magic beasts. Right then, someone knocked on the door. Who is it? Mag turned around. That beautiful lady boss who made you come out with a hand on your back has come looking for you, Irina said with a mysterious smile. LOL, go get the door. Amy leaped off her chair and skipped to the door. Danger. Mag put his book down with an unnatural expression. Although it was just business between him and Eofi, he could still sense trouble brewing. After all, Eofi wasn't even a match for one of Irina's fingers if they started to fight. She specially came to thank Mr. Hades today and to inform him that the registration for the liquor tasting was successful. She had already given up the plan to seduce Hades to get the liquor. This would make her look like a beautiful bad woman who would do anything for benefits. After all, she already had a cellar full of the world's best Titan liquor, which would allow the Titan Tavern to safely operate for 20 years. Therefore, she planned to establish a firm friendship with the outstanding Mr. Hades now. Of course, she also wouldn't mind if something beyond friendship happened between them. Right at that moment, she felt she already had the capital that put her on equal footing with Mr. Hades, including the right to have a conversation or verbal spar with his wife. She took out a small mirror from her little bag to make sure that her makeup was still maintained in tip-top condition, and her face still had a perfect smile. Crack! The door opened inwards. A little girl stood at the door, and sized Eofi up curiously. Hello, pretty little baby. Is Mr. Hades at home? Eofi said to Amy smilingly. She had to admit that this little girl was really exquisite. She inherited all her mother's positive traits, which made people want to steal her away. Yes. Not only is my father home, my mother is home as well. Amy nodded. She turned her head to take a look before stepping forward, and softly said, Mother knew that father went to your tavern to pay yesterday. He was punished and made to stand. I see, Eofi had an awkward expression, and she was feeling a little self-reproachful. She didn't expect Mr. Hades to suffer at home because of her. I came to look for Mr. Hades regarding the liquor tasting event. We were discussing work yesterday too, Eofi smilingly explained. She didn't deliberately control her volume as she wanted the people inside to hear her too. Please come in, Miss Eofi. Mag's voice rang out from within. Please come in. Amy stepped to the side too, but she still softly reminded her, don't antagonize my mother. She's really very formidable. Eofi laughed it off. She was not a pushover. She puffed out her chest, and walked into the tavern confidently. This was her first time walking into Saipan Tavern. Its decoration and size were simpler and smaller than she had expected. However, her gaze was immediately attracted by the woman sitting at the center of the table. Words could hardly describe her beauty. At least, this was the first time she felt inferior when she saw her face and figure. She was simply sitting there calmly with a picture book in her hand, and yet she looked like the master of the house. When Irina looked up and fixed her gaze on Eofi, the latter instinctively halted her footsteps. She sensed an unprecedented pressure that came from being suppressed by another woman, who even had a smile on her lips. However, she had sensed a cold murderous intent in that smile. This was the feedback from a woman's powerful sixth sense. This was a terrifying woman, and also one whom Eofi had no power to go against. Her uplifted head couldn't help lowering slowly. Her puffed-up chest couldn't help deflating too. Only her gaze was still focused on Irina stubbornly. Irina was also sizing up Eofi. This young woman had an air that was way beyond her age. Didn't some men prefer such an aura? She flicked a glance at Mag, and wondered if he was one of those men. However, she tossed that thought away when she thought of his performance last night. Well, he didn't have the guts to do that. But, that woman did have that kind of thoughts. Come to think of it, there had been many years since a woman like that had appeared. Ha, interesting. There was a hint of interest in Irina's gaze. She wanted to see what that woman would do to seduce her man. She would take it as a form of practice. Mag, who was sitting between the two of them, could sense the terrible presence of a love battlefield. Currently, he didn't know if he should be happy or unhappy. Miss Eofi, right? Why are you here looking for my man? Irina asked Eofi with interest. You must be Mr. Hades' wife. Eofi smiled and placed the small basket on the table. I'm here to inform Mr. Hades that your tavern has successfully registered for the liquor tasting event. I'm also here to thank him for doing me such a favor yesterday. These are some specialty snacks which are a token of my appreciation. I still have many things that I need to ask Mr. Hades for advice on in the future. Miss Eofi is being too polite. It's just a small matter. You helped me to register too. Mag forced himself to stand up and make polite small talk with Eofi. Please sit down. It's so cold. Let's have a cup of hot tea. He only wanted to make Eofi go home as soon as possible. It was the man who suffered the most in such an ambience. Yes. It's so cold today, but Mr. Hades' tavern is so warm. Do you have a furnace on? Eofi sat down on the chair next to Mag smilingly. She put her reddened hands over the furnace, and gave Mag a bright smile. It's so warm. He threw a glance at Irina. He really was just being polite. Irina didn't speak, either. She was simply looking at him with a smile, seemingly waiting for him to resolve it himself. Eofi had already sat down, so Mag naturally couldn't chase her away. He could only pour her a cup of tea. Thank you, Eofi said sweetly. She held the teacup with both her hands to warm them up. Mag nodded and sat down again. Eofi said to Mag, I have passed the blueprint to 3 old blacksmiths this morning. The end products should be ready in 3 days' time. I will have to bother Mr. Hades to help me assemble them then. All right, I will help you assemble the spare parts once they are ready. I have to teach you how to use it on the spot too. Mag nodded. Eofi wasn't Hannah. The former had no idea about machinery at all. Didn't he even know how to thank you? Eofi looked at Mag gratefully. Why don't you marry him? Irina interrupted with a smile. Eofi froze before revealing an ecstatic expression. Mag's eye twitched a few times. What's going on now? Eofi flicked her hair, shook her head, and said, How can I do that? Mr. Hades is a married man with children, after all. Moreover, he has a beautiful wife like you and adorable daughters. Irina nodded, and said, That's good. At least you're not blind. Eofi's hand froze immediately. Thankfully, the two women were not on the same level. Therefore, the clash was not very competitive, and Eofi quickly ended up defeated. This woman is impressive. Eofi drank the tea in her hand. She glanced at Irina, and did not speak further. She turned to look at Mag, and said, Mr. Hades, I want to restore the glory of Titan Tavern to the times when my father was running it. Could you give me some suggestions? Mag thought for a while, and said, First, you need to find your place. To restore the glory of Titan Tavern's Titan liquor, you need to eye the fame of the best tavern in Rodu. Therefore, you will be targeting the wealthiest and most valuable batch of customers as well. Secondly, you need to discard things on the menu. Titan liquor is a gem of the tavern, but there should be limited supply every day. Otherwise, you will soon be running out of supply. However, the other alcohols cannot be too low in quality. Quality over quantity. They must at least be of a certain standard, and that is also a very important step to sieve out your customers. Lastly, it's the issue with operations. As a top-tier tavern, you must have an atmosphere and service that align with its standing, this is something you have to think through on your own. Eofi thought for a while, and said hesitantly, but I only have a limited repertoire of wines I know how to brew. There is currently no wine that can be compared to Titan liquor at all. It's nowhere near. Titan liquor was already the best wine she had brewed, but it was worthless in Mag's eyes. At this time, you'll require external help. I think you should be able to buy the wine from other breweries in Rodu, right? Even if it is slightly more expensive, and your profit margin will be slightly lower, if the quality reaches your expectations, you can use it to solve your problems, Mag said with a smile. Eofi's eyes lit up. She suddenly felt relieved, and said gratefully, "Thank you, Mr. Hades." "You're welcome." Mag shook his head slightly, and glanced at Irina, who was sitting at the side. "In that case, I shall not disturb you." Eofi stood up and left. Mag watched Eofi leave, and closed the door gently behind her. He let out a sigh. "Why, miss her?" Irina looked at Mag with a seeming smile. "TM not like that. She's not my type." Mag shook his head resolutely. A 20-year-old woman is at her prime. She would be sensible and doting. "Don't you like it?" Irina asked with a smile. Mag looked at Irina and raised a brow. "Aren't you 302?" Irina blushed immediately and glared at Mag. Mag was rather innocent. He was only stating facts. New mission, a wish from Eofi. Help Eofi bring Titan Tavern back to the glory of her father's times. Please participate actively in the process. The system will decide on the mission reward according to your participation and influence. Just then, the system's voice rang in Amy's head. "But Saipan Tavern has not had its glory, and I have to help another tavern reach its glory." Amy asked, bewildered. "Please complete the system's mission. The system will reserve all rights for final explanations. So explain it." System. Garland and Milo looked at the tightly shut door of Mamie Restaurant in shock. They finally came out of Rodu, and travelled all the way here, but did not expect to be locked out. "Did Mr. Mag say anything about the restaurant being closed in the letter?" Garland asked with a frown. "But he didn't say that the restaurant would be operating as usual too," Milo said with a bitter smile. "What now? We might not be able to enter the city even if we return now." Garland scratched his head. "We're already here, what a waste of the budget. Why don't we go for a massage?" Milo said with a smile. "No. How can we waste the budget away?" Garland shook his head seriously. "No, what I mean is, we should find a place to stay first and wait for Mr. Mag to return. While we're at it, we go for a massage." "That's right. Let's go to that place from last time," Garland said happily. Father, when is Mamie Restaurant opening again?" Palmer looked at the shut door of the restaurant, and then looked up at George. "I'm not sure, either. Maybe when Boss Mag had enough fun, he would be back," George said helplessly as he rubbed his grumbling stomach. They came expectantly again, and would be going back with disappointment. "I saw Uncle Harrison yesterday. He had slimmed down," Palmer said. Tisk, tisk. This fellow is really putting in a lot of effort for a woman." George smiled. "Speaking of that, I have not seen him in a while." "Indeed, it's the best time for a fatty to lose weight when Boss Mag closes the restaurant. What are we having for breakfast today, then? Let's go have that lousier version of the eggplant with garlic sauce in front. After that, I'll buy you ice cream," George said as he stroked Parma's head, and brought him up the horse-drawn carriage. Although Mamie Restaurant was still closed, there would still be many customers who would make their way over to take a look. However, because Mag had disclosed some recipes, there were many restaurants in Aden Square that would launch these few dishes. Although the taste was far from that made by Mamie Restaurant, customers could still have them to comfort their hungry souls. "Since we've learned their dishes, and used their dish names, we should put our heart and soul into the dishes, and not ruin their reputation. The eggplant with garlic sauce today is not fit for eating. Even the most basic cutting is not done well. The eggplant pieces are in different sizes. Can you cook a dish well with this attitude? Let me tell you. I'll give you 3 more days. If you can't bring out the right attitude to make this dish, all of you will leave. Even the housewife living beside me cooks better than you. Aren't you ashamed? A restaurant owner chided with his arms akimbo at the back kitchen agitatedly. Here, try the eggplant with garlic sauce I made today. A housewife put the eggplant with garlic sauce on the table. It looked and smelled fantastic, and every member of the family was already dying to try it. There were also red braised squid tentacles, octopus balls, and more. The housewife took her seat, and everyone began eating. Mother, the squid tentacles you make today taste even better. The octopus ball is so good. Grandma is fantastic. I love Grandma's cooking. Nanny's eggplant with garlic sauce is delicious. Everyone was full of praises. Eat more if you like it. I'll make more for you tonight. The housewife smiled widely. As a woman who had been dissed as a lousy cook for half her life, she had never thought that she would earn praises from her husband and children with her cooking one day. All this was because she had met Mr. Mag. He was the true friend of women. However, due to the limited amount of soil, there are currently only about 2,300 of them who have broken out of the seal. The numbers are increasing steadily, and all of them will be able to break out of the seal in 3 years. This race has guarded the entrance of the ancient city Arlai for 5,230 years, exceeding the promised period by 230 years. The sea is currently in good condition, and the risk of it being damaged is rather low. The sealed memory status of this race has yet to be removed, and there is a rather low risk of the agreement being leaked. Situation evaluation: do not intervene. Traces of activities of the Great Old Ones were found in the southwestern waters, and are suspected to be related to the Thulhu. However, an intervention was successful, wiping all out. Due to the failure to trace to the origin, it is suspected to have been done by a light-type magic caster. The remaining spiritual activity fluctuations have been removed. Situation evaluation: proceed to Thulhu Seal Point for an in-depth investigation. The seal beneath Sky Isle had been broken. The lower half of the Thulhu has disappeared. On site, yet to discover the traces of the Thulhu's servant races. Judging from the extent of the damage, this is related to the strongest tier of the current ancient continent, or the Thulhu's mental control. Situation evaluation: Category 1 incident. Already reported. Trace Thulhu down immediately and reseal it. Central Region seal has lost its effects due to the passing of time. Thulhu's upper half has succeeded in breaking out of the seal. However, the new inhabitants have resealed it, and left a set of cutting tools and mysterious transporting setup there. The cut-up body was transported somewhere else. The location cannot be confirmed currently. Very strong lightning traces were found in Thulhu's body. This power exceeds the upper limit of the new inhabitants. It is suspected that an off-limit powerhouse has appeared on the Norland continent. Failure to trace the origin once again. Conjecture: perhaps it is related to the powers outside space? The new seal is currently stable. Due to the unlimited cutting, Thulhu is currently weak, and might possibly be completely killed. Situation evaluation: surveillance elves left at the seal location to prevent Thulhu's lower half from attempting to break out of the seal to merge with its top. Continue tracing the mysterious powerhouse. Report if an off-limit powerhouse appears. New inhabitants have discovered the existence of Thulhu. The extent of understanding under evaluation. Part of Thulhu's body was found in an undocumented big city about 15 kilometers away from the central seal region. Incredibly, it could be sold as an ingredient after it was processed, and was being bought by the new inhabitants to be cooked and eaten. Oh my gosh! Someone was actually eating Thulhu. This ingredient was called octopus tentacle. The method for eating this ingredient originated from a chef known as Mag. The shop selling thul whose body seemed to be related to him too. Take note. A machine known as a steam engine was also found in this city. It produces kinetic energy by using the steam produced by burning coal to push a piston, thereby obtaining a stable and controllable form of kinetic energy to be used for transportation and production. This could be the sign of the ancient continent moving into the steam engine era. According to the current usage, the steam engine should be able to gain wide usage on the Norland continent and cause a societal revolution. Also, a magazine has been hot selling in this city. The reason was the chef named Mag. He seemed to be very popular. Situation evaluation. Entering the steam engine era might bring about a large change to the Norland continent. Specific effects are yet to be discovered. Take note of the mysterious person Mag, and get in contact if necessary. Many mysterious passageways have been found on the ancient continent, joining many mysterious rearing places. There are obvious traces of species being transformed and reared. The owner of these places has yet to be found. A series of tools that were way more advanced than the technology of the current ancient continent were found at the rearing places. Suspected to be from external civilizations. Currently unable to ascertain if there are any hostile or invasive intentions involved. Situation evaluation, Category 2 Incident. Investigate the space passages, and find the possible intruder. Obtain samples and analyze the standard of civilization and threat. Traces of Thulhu's activity found in the Twilight Forest. The resentment of the dead was sucked out, and judging from the investigation results, it was not done by Thulhu personally, but by a puppet that it controlled. The new inhabitants were still rather weak, and could not defend themselves. On top of that, they did not have the ability to search for the controller. Situation evaluation, number of puppets unknown. Thulhu was attempting to regain its powers, and might cause more tragedies. Traces of Thulhu's puppet found in a newly established human country, Roth Empire. Through perception, the puppet was identified as a prince of the country. His identity has already been exposed. However, he was not currently in the city, and has temporarily disappeared. A suspected nuclear power has been detected in this city. Situation evaluation. Collect information on the puppet and continue to trace him. Perhaps the lower half of Thulhu could be found. Identify the origin of nuclear power. Check if it has anything to do with the external civilization. Observer's codename, 9527K. Host, the system's water temperature monitoring robot at the Boundless Sea Realm Crayfish Rearing Farm and the Sunlight Monitoring Machine at the Twilight Forest Soybean Farm, as well as the machines at various rearing farms, have disappeared in these few days. The statement from the system rang in Mag's head as he was flipping through ancient books. "You can't get me to reimburse that, right?" Mag replied without thinking, and continued to read. These machines had tracking devices installed for easy collection, but they are all gone. Maybe they were destroyed by magic beasts. There are surveillance cameras located at the farms as well. It is not possible for any magic beast to intrude, no matter how powerful it is. Besides, there was no trace left behind in the surveillance cameras. They disappeared into thin air, and the tracking device has been blocked. This is a very odd situation. Therefore, I am reporting it to you, the system said seriously. Mag placed the ancient book down, and asked, "What does this mean?" "It might be done by a powerhouse that is far stronger than what I can control, or they could have been taken by a thing from an even more advanced civilization," the system replied. "What kind of powerhouse?" Mag frowned. "Something that is currently more powerful than the upper limit existing on the Norland continent. Something similar to the Great Old Ones." "What about the civilization? Is there an even more advanced civilization than yours?" Mag asked. "I'm a god of cookery cultivation system, and therefore am rather low in my technology setting. The objects from the trading center are all goods that the other systems had eliminated. Therefore, my civilization standard is only about that of Earth at 2050. I can only obtain some high-class clearance in the logistic space, the system said honestly. Even if the great old ones had nothing to do, they wouldn't steal your thermometer, right? Mag was still in disbelief. However, it was flustered this time. Of course, it could also be because it was dispirited as its objects were stolen. The existence of the great old ones had been ascertained, and Mag even cooked half of one of them. However, such an existence that could destroy the world easily would never go to the various farms to steal thermometers and cedars. As for an even more advanced civilization, Mag would never believe in the existence of a being from an even more advanced civilization than the system in this world where the various races had yet to break out of their habit of eating raw food. Judging from the timeline, could it be done by Amy's system? Mag suddenly thought of a factor. The system fell silent for a while, as though it was analyzing, and said, "The possibility is very low. If that system found the farm, it should be able to tell that another system existed in this world, and would not interact with the other party, much less intervene with the other party's missions. Aren't all you subpar systems thrown together? Why wouldn't the systems disturb each other? There would ultimately only be one king in the world. Change is the only constant, the wheel of fortune turns. Why is it not possible?" Mag did not buy that. "I'll repeat. I am a perfect god of cookery cultivation system. That system's existence could only be an accident," the system said seriously. "In that case, is it possible for this world to have a high-latitude civilization? Or that their standard of civilization is even higher than Earth in 2050? Mag asked in an equally serious tone. "According to my current observations, the existence of any odd evolution civilization has yet to be detected. In that case, maybe there's a Wakanda in this boring world." Mag laughed. The system fell silent for a while, and said, "For now, this possibility cannot be ruled out. I have limited knowledge of this world, and there are various places I have yet to explore. Tam unable to know if an even more advanced civilization had appeared and continued to exist on this land in the past billions of years. In addition, an even more advanced civilization indeed exists on Earth. It is just not Wakanda. It is in the spatial world at Kunlun Mountains." This time, Mag fell silent. There was too much information in the system's words. Nothing was impossible in this world. Mag being able to arrive in this world was an impossible thing on its own. Whether an even more advanced civilization existed on a planet with billions of years in its history was unknown, just like how he still had no answer for whether the gods worshipped by the various races actually existed. If they did, where were they? So, the system is not all-knowing, Mag sighed. A system's understanding of a foreign world could only be known through exploration other than obtaining basic information from God. Mag propped his head on his hand, and thought for a while. Suddenly, he asked, "I am suddenly curious about what God is. What kind of existence is it? Why did it create the systems and send them out to various worlds? Your questions have already infringed on a dangerous field. Please take back these dangerous thoughts," the system warned. "If God is everywhere and all-knowing, yet is also unknown and indescribable, communicates with the outside world through the systems, and rules world after world by controlling the hosts through systems. What do you think it's like?" Mag swallowed. He did think that his thoughts were rather dangerous. The system fell silent, and remained silent. "All right, let's think of it in another way." Mag closed the ancient book in his hands. "If there really is a more advanced civilization in this world, and they have also discovered your existence, what could happen? There are two possibilities. Firstly, as a member of a foreign civilization and someone who could possibly result in a large-scale invasion, you would be taken away and cut up into pieces for research so that they could trace our origin. Secondly, they might try to establish a new connection with the foreign civilization through you. You would become the bridge between them and the foreign civilization, but would lose your freedom," the system replied. "Doesn't sound good either way." Mag shook his head. "They've already cut all logistical systems connecting the farms and the restaurant, and built a new virtual logistical system. They will be unable to find the restaurant through the space passage for the time being. However, we cannot rule out the possibility of them finding you through other means, because we know nothing about them. Mag heaved a sigh of relief, and said, "One more question. If an even more advanced civilization did exist, would they be responsible for the Great Old Ones? If they join us, it may be a little easier to handle those fellows. A cutting machine from the octopus processing plant is missing. They should be aware of the Great Old One's existence, and should most probably be on the side of kindness and order. Otherwise, it would be a piece of cake for them to destroy the seal," the system replied. Mag ended his conversation with the system, and sat by the study table, spacing out. The Great Old One's existence was just like the sword of Damocles hanging above their heads. The existence of an advanced civilization, and the fact that they might have already found out about him, caused him even more worries. Forget it, leave them be for now. No matter how advanced they are still made of flesh and blood. If they really come knocking, I can only hack their heads off. Mag shook his head and left. He went downstairs, and kept all the things that could possibly expose that he was from an out-of-this-world civilization, including Amy's toys and Annie's watercolor brush, and made them promise that they could only use those upstairs. Mag was not ahead of himself, so he decided to live like a mole in the coming days. Irina had returned to Chaos City. Mag, who had just had kidneys for lunch, decided to cancel the raw oyster feast at night in case he got too full of himself. Business at the tavern tonight was still not bad. Although it was not at the full house level, earning 10,000 copper coins a night was still rather easy. Meanwhile, Titan Tavern right across the street had hung up a temporarily closed notice for their upgrading phase. Of course, the most attractive thing was still the notice outside. Titan Tavern had announced that it would open the cellar sealed by its founder 30 years ago, and would start to supply the authentic Titan liquor stored in the cellar for 30 years. Eofi was a smart woman. Mag had to admit that. After daily operations, Mag saw the last customer off, and closed the shop as he got ready to clean up. Just then, the tavern's door behind him opened outward silently. Mag paused in his actions, and turned slowly to look at the door. He leaned his body slightly forward, maintaining the best posture to pull his sword out. A woman dressed in a white body-fitting suit stood at the door, and watched him calmly with her light green eyes. She opened her mouth, and said in an accented common tongue, "I want to drink." The bodysuit showed her figure perfectly, but people couldn't have any dirty thoughts about her. Because her beautiful face had a very cold expression, she even seemed aloof. Mag didn't care that her bodysuit didn't fit into this world, nor did he care about how aloof she looked. He only cared about the feedback given by the omnipresent door: name, unknown. Race, unknown. Age, unknown. Strength, unknown. Danger. 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 Yes. This woman was a very dangerous existence. After Mag had passed the tribulation together with the Thulhu, he had not felt the presence of danger for a long time. However, he felt it from this woman right now. System, is she from the so-called advanced civilization? How many things can you find out studying her if we capture her? Mag said to the system inwardly. The premise is you can defeat her. Otherwise, it will be you who would be sliced and studied, the system swiftly answered. What's the odds of me winning? 50-50. These odds don't look very auspicious. Mag frowned. He instantly relaxed his body, and smiled at the girl at the door. I'm sorry. The tavern is already closed for the night. Please come again tomorrow if you want to drink. Mag knew very well that they would come sooner or later, but he never expected them to come so soon. Hence, he wanted to test if this was an accident. Closed for the night? The woman frowned, and looked at Mag with her cold eyes. She revealed a pondering expression. Then, do I need to use another excuse? Mag's facial muscles twitched. He wasn't quite used to this woman's cold and direct way of talking. The other party was obviously here for him, and she didn't even bother to hide that intention. Or perhaps, she did try to hide that intention, but her clumsy way of expression exposed it. At the very least, the other party didn't just come to him with a discrimination speech, take out a pair of cuffs, and then force him into submission. This meant that there was room for a discussion. Mag smilingly said to the woman, "Since you have already opened the tavern's door, please come in. I have meat and liquor. I wonder what is the story behind you, lovely maiden." The woman only stared at him coldly. That exquisite face seemed to be made from ice, even the gaze was horribly cold, as if there weren't any emotions in her eyes. "System, this isn't a robot, right? She's also not an assassin without emotions, right?" Mag asked inwardly. In order not to attract the other party's attention, this system has already cut off all detection devices. However, we can be sure that the other party is still a carbon-based life form, and not a robot, the system swiftly replied. "Thanks." The woman retracted her gaze from Mag. She stepped into the tavern, and surveyed it once before sitting down in a seat close to the door. Then, she continued to stare at Mag. Mag closed the door again. He felt quite uncomfortable being stared at. He showed a professional smile. "What would you like to drink, miss?" "Liquor," the woman replied. "This is a freaking tavern. Of course I know you want to drink liquor. The drink list is on the wall." Mag tried his best to say that with a smile. The woman looked up at the drink list on the wall seriously. After a while, she said, "A bottle of Mau Tai, a bottle of whiskey, a helping of pig ears salad, a helping of pig tongue salad, and a helping of drunkard peanuts." "Sure, please give me a minute." Mag walked to the kitchen with upturned lips. He was a little curious about how well this woman could hold her alcohol. Even if she was from an advanced civilization, she would still have a weakness as long as she wasn't a robot. After she got drunk. A somewhat obscene male human. One ordinary tavern. However, this place is 32 meters away from the nuclear power startup, and this man is the owner of the property. There might be some useful information to be found from him. Xi looked at the busy man in the kitchen and wondered. Apart from that, she also sensed an inexplicable aura in this tavern. It was familiar yet strange at the same time. She actually couldn't make an accurate judgment for a while. This situation wasn't common for her, so she didn't hypnotize this human immediately after she entered the tavern. Of course, it wasn't difficult for her to obtain a normal human's memory, as long as it didn't go against the observer's code. Her equipment bay had ample food. The ancient continent's food wasn't attractive to her at all. Ordering food was part of learning about the new inhabitants' behavior. Of course, investigating the new inhabitants' food was also one of an observer's jobs. Xi calmly observed this tavern. Soon after, her gaze landed on that counter. It was a red wooden counter with a marble countertop. The surface was as smooth as a mirror, and its sides were also round and smooth. It made her reveal a perplexed look. This processing technology seems to be polished by machinery. Has the ancient continent's manufacturing industry already developed to this extent? Xi wrote down this detail in her observer's diary. "Your liquor and side dishes." Mag came out with a tray. After putting down the opened liquor and 3 side dishes, he stepped to the side. "Thank you," Xi answered him calmly, but her gaze was already attracted by the liquor and dishes in front of her. The rich liquor's aroma that drifted out from that white porcelain bottle actually made her, someone who had never drunk before, think that it was exquisite. Additionally, those 2 side dishes that were made from ears and tongues were completely different from her expectations. They even looked a little enticing. It was Mag's turn to quietly observe her from the side, with his arms wrapped in front of his chest. Did the advanced civilization's people need to eat? What were their eating habits and tastes? He was curious about all these things. Sensing Mag's gaze, Xi frowned slightly. After a brief moment of hesitation, she still picked up the two bamboo sticks called chopsticks, and picked up a peanut clumsily. She could see the energy in this peanut and all the elements mixed up in it, including the elements that could cause sickness. The new inhabitants' diet was still too unhealthy. This was also the main reason that she didn't like to eat their food. There was a nutritional cream that had all the nutrients well mixed up in the equipment bay. It could provide sufficient nutrition while making sure that it was healthy at the same time. After a brief moment of hesitation, she popped the peanut into her mouth. Crunch! The teeth collided with the peanut, bringing a crunchy texture. At the same time, the spiciness blossomed on the tip of her tongue. The aroma exploded in her mouth along with the crushed peanut. Xi's eyes widened instantly, and she showed an expression of disbelief. This was a taste that she had never tasted before. It was amazing yet irresistible. It is so mesmerizing and irresistible. My apologies. An observer shouldn't use such descriptions, but I'm not able to find a more appropriate description now. Other than that, the liquor called Mao Tai has an unfathomable name, but its taste is very rich and sweet, and its texture is very smooth. Its alcohol content is very high, reaching 58%. It has a certain hallucination effect, which can also be described as drunk. Observer, XI. Code name, 9527. An advanced civilization's existence was discovered on the Norland continent. Gender, unknown. Race, unknown. Strength, unknown. 1. She looks like a human female. She is wearing a battle suit made of an unknown metal. She can eat human food normally, and has a good resistance to alcohol. This advanced civilization is more advanced than Earth in 2050. It's a race that is still unknown to the Norland continent. There is no information to reference. It might be related to the Battle of Skyfall. The host is too weak to capture it. The system's permission level is too low to capture it. We have already labeled it for further tracking and observation. The God of Cookery Cultivation System reported. Eat Mag watched the woman finish the whole bottle of Mao Tai with the drunkard peanuts and then open that bottle of whiskey calmly as if she wasn't affected. Did the advanced civilization's alcohol's tolerance evolve too? Mag raised his eyebrows, feeling that he had misplanned. Perhaps their bodies already have the ability to break down alcohol quickly, the system answered. Xi poured a glass of whiskey and took a sip. She frowned slightly. She looked at the liquor in the glass in front of her, and then glanced at Mag. The faint smoky taste is the whiskey's specialty. It's not a problem with the liquor. After you accept that characteristic, you will discover this liquor is also equally intoxicating, Mag explained smilingly. It didn't matter that she had an excellent alcohol tolerance, the aftermath of drinking Mao Tai and whiskey was formidable. Xi was thoughtful, but she still downed the liquor in the glass. She narrowed her eyes to sample that faint smoky taste. It felt as if a Mustang was racing in her heart. It indeed brought a different sensation and drinking experience from the previous bottle. Whiskey. Not bad. Xi nodded slightly. She put her glass and looked up at Mag. Mag was also staring at her calmly. May I ask, did you activate any advanced machinery in that house 23 meters away from this tavern yesterday? Xi asked in a voice that was as cold as the sound of an electric current. Machinery? What machinery? Mag had a perplexed expression, showing her the level of knowledge that a resident of the alternate world should have. Xi stared into Mag's eyes for a while, making sure that he wasn't lying. She frowned slightly, and explained, machinery means devices that can help people lower their job's difficulty or make their jobs easier. It should be a huge machine that is made of steel. According to the feedback of the surrounding residents, an earthquake happened yesterday. Did you feel it? Of course, I felt the earthquake. The house shook obviously, and officials came to ask questions. Mag nodded with an honest expression, and said, however, are you talking about the house behind the one next to us? That is indeed my property, but it has always been vacant. I can open the door for you if you would like to go see it, miss. There's no need for that. I have already seen it. Xi shook her head slightly, but she still had some suspicions. She was deliberating if she should conduct a memory search on this human in front of her. The lie detector showed that he wasn't lying. This meant that he indeed had no idea about that nuclear-powered machinery. An ordinary person couldn't fool the lie detector. You're really not shy. Mag raised his brows slightly. The subconscious discrimination that an advanced civilization had for a lower civilization was blatant. However, Mag was relieved that she wasn't attracted by that nuclear-powered printing machine. It was fortunate that Mag got the system to shift that printing machine to Chaos City. Xi stopped talking after that, and quietly finished that bottle of whiskey and the 3 side dishes. Although her expression was still as cold and aloof as before, Mag could see from the frequency of her picking up the dishes that even an advanced civilization's being couldn't resist the temptation of good food. Burp. Xi, who was prepared to settle her bill, burped, which surprised her. As an extremely self-disciplined person, she hadn't burped from overeating for a long time. She didn't expect to overeat at a human's tavern. Xi placed a gold coin on the table, and said to Mag, "Bill, please. I would like to take away a helping of drunkard peanuts too." "Sure." Mag gave her the change and a helping of takeaway drunkard peanuts. The other party prepared to leave with the packed drunkard peanuts like a normal person after drinking 2 bottles of liquor with high alcohol content. Mag didn't get to ask any questions. He wasn't completely confident that he could make her stay, nor was he sure that she wouldn't transmit any information back in real time while they were fighting. Xi walked to the door with the drunkard peanuts packed in a craft paper bag. Footsteps suddenly sounded on the staircase. Mag turned his head, and saw Annie at the staircase. His heart skipped a beat, and he secretly said, "Oh no." Xi's steps faltered, and she suddenly turned around. Her light green eyes focused sharply on that girl standing at the staircase with a picture book in her arms. Annie also noticed Xi. Seeing that she was staring at her, Annie gave her a polite smile. "This is my daughter, Annie. She can't speak, but she loves to draw. She's very cute, right?" Mag introduced Annie with a smile, and walked next to her. He leaned towards Annie, making sure that he could react instantly to Xi's actions. "There's something very wrong with you." Xi's gaze landed on Mag again. A technological-looking black bullpup assault rifle appeared in her empty right hand. Mag's eyelids twitched a few times. That was a bullpup assault rifle that was even more exaggerated than the Barrett. Its hard lines seemed to be able to absorb the dark glow of the light. It didn't have support, and was carried by the lean woman single-handedly. A woman in a white tight battle suit was carrying a packet of drunkard peanuts in one hand and a black bullpup assault rifle in the other. This scene looked a little ridiculous, but Mag felt an intense sense of danger. He wasn't certain if his sword or her gun would be faster. Annie was right next to him, while Amy was upstairs. There was no way that he could retreat. "TM just a liquor seller. I don't understand what you are talking about." Mag tried to speak as calmly as possible. "No. You've met Thulhu. You're already tainted." Xi shook her head slightly. Her gaze landed on Annie, and she frowned as she said, "She has the presence of Thulhu on her too, and it's very intense." One had to know that even Irina with her light magic caster's identity didn't discover Annie's abnormality. Mag stood in front of Annie, and said to Xi, "Actually, I'm very curious about who you are. A god? Or a being similar to those sealed fellows?" Xi aimed her bullpup assault rifle at Mag, and coldly said, "I'm Xi, from the Elder Things. I am not a god or one of the sealed invaders. I'm an observer, and now you're under arrest." "The Elder Things?" Mag cocked his eyebrows. He was reminded of that ancient species in the Thulhu mythos that had starfish-like appendages. Obviously, this woman called Xi had an appearance that appealed more to the human aesthetic and wielded technology that was beyond imagination. Moreover, her words had also revealed one very important piece of information: sealed invaders. The Great Old Ones were deemed invaders in their civilization. Furthermore, judging from her previous reaction, the Elder Things should have a very strong animosity towards Thulhu and the other sealed Great Old Ones. Additionally, her identity was the Observer. Listen, this term was filled with the superiority that an advanced civilization had for a more primitive civilization. If this was a fantasy novel, she would a mediator cum spokesperson kind of existence. If your target is also the fellow that has escaped from the seal, perhaps we should sit down and talk about it instead of fighting to death first. Mag looked at Xi calmly. The Tiandu sword appeared next to him, with the tip pointing at Xi. I know you are very strong. I'm very strong too. I'm confident that I can kill you before you kill me. Xi's expression turned solemn when she saw the black heavy sword that suddenly appeared. This heavy sword had no edges, but it gave her the feeling that it was razor sharp and a vague sense of being locked on. She was familiar with that sensation. She could lock on the other party as soon as she raised her bullpup assault rifle. And this human male did exactly the same when he took out his long sword. He was indeed very powerful. This was a fact. Xi looked into Mag's eyes, and asked, "Is this the power that Thulhu gave to you?" The new inhabitant's upper limit appeared a few thousand years ago. Powerhouses above the 10th tier could no longer appear, but Mag's power had obviously surpassed the limit. Mag shook his head slightly. No. This is the power that I resealed him with. Resealed? Xi's gaze flickered, and a hint of surprise appeared on her cold face. She said to Mag, "Did you reseal the Thulhu in the center sealed area? It can only be considered as a participant. That wasn't something that could be done by one person." Mag shook his head, and sincerely said, "I am Mag Alex, a knight. I don't know what kind of existence the Elder Things are, but we can be friends if you guys also deem those evil existences that should be sealed enemies." Xi looked at Mag judgingly. After a moment of silence, she said, "You knew what I care for. Annie, go upstairs first, and don't let Amy come down." Mag turned to instruct Annie. Annie glanced at Mag, and then looked at Xi. After hesitating for a moment, she nodded obediently, and went upstairs with the picture book in her arms. After confirming that Annie had already gone upstairs, Mag said to Xi, "I have indeed met Thulhu. It's not strange to meet one's opponent face to face. I've almost lost myself and handed my soul to him too." Xi didn't speak, and simply looked at him. "It was Annie who saved me at the critical moment. Lightning severed her from Thulhu. She's the incarnation of kindness. There isn't any hint of evil in her. She was just like a newborn infant. That's why I adopted her, and concealed her identity from everyone," Mag said. "The incarnation of kindness." Wonder appeared in Xi's eyes. She had undergone professional training before, but she had never heard of such an explanation before. However, Mag indeed didn't look like he had sold his soul to Thulhu, otherwise she would have discovered that as soon as she met him. Meanwhile, although that girl had the Thulhu's aura on her, she was as pure as a piece of blank paper. This was equally befuddling to her. Xi said to Mag, "I can't trust what you said completely right now, and neither can I judge that girl's situation accurately. I need to bring you guys back to let the elders make the judgment. I'm sorry, but I can't accept that suggestion. Annie is my daughter, and not something that needs to be judged." Mag shook his head with a serious expression, and said to Xi, "Perhaps the Elder Things are a more advanced existence, but please don't underestimate a father's determination to protect his daughter. She's not some devil. She's just a little girl who has started to interact with the world, and has great wishes for everything in life." Xi looked at Mag. Mag looked at Xi. The gun versus the sword. The atmosphere was cold to the extreme. After a long time, Xi put down the assault rifle first, and said coldly, Do you know where we can find the lower half body of the Thulhu that has escaped from the seal? Tidn't know. Mag also put down his sword, but I should know some information that you don't know. Mag heaved a breath of relief inwardly. You're my big brother, the system similarly commented with admiration inside Mag. Your daddy. Don't get the hierarchy wrong, Mag answered. Next, Mag had a short and peaceful interaction with Xi. If Elizabeth had an aloof coldness that would make people feel heartache for her after knowing her, then Xi's coldness was the real coldness. Mag felt as though he was talking to an assassin without any emotions. The interaction was mechanical without any hint of emotions. Giant dragon. Ranks stir. I will find him. Xi nodded. This was the only useful information that she got from Mag. After a brief interaction, Mag said, he's a friend of mine. If you find him, I hope I can meet him even if it's the worst situation. I can guarantee that, Xi coldly replied. Fortunately, Mag was already used to the way she talked. Twant to bring some of the girl's hair or nails back even if I can't bring the girl back. We need to study what kind of being she is, Xi said. Mag shook his head, and solemnly said, I won't hand any part of her to you, and I hope you guys will stop having designs on her. Otherwise, I will kill you even if you are a god. This world isn't what you see. Your power is only relative, Xi coldly warned. The power of the elder things is also limited, right? Otherwise, why would you have let the seals age without doing anything? Mag asked in return. Maybe she also had a long lifespan and a powerful body. A young but very malleable existence. If Annie was brought away by the elder things, she might turn into a cold machine to complete missions like Xi, or even end up dissected and studied. Mag had already decided to protect Annie with all his might when he brought her home, even if he had to give up his life. Hence, he wanted the elder things to stop having such thoughts at least while he was still alive. Xi looked at Mag with a frown. This was a stubborn human and a troublesome fellow. She is a brand new life form. She's different from Thulhu. She deserves the right to lead a normal life like any young girl in this area. Mag picked up the Little Mermaid picture book on the counter, and tossed it to Xi. She also deserves to have a dream of becoming a comic artist. This child has extraordinary talent. Xi caught the picture book. The mermaid on the cover should have come from Lantist. It was very exquisitely and beautifully drawn. The mermaid maiden's cuteness was perfectly displayed. She recalled the picture book that the girl held when she came downstairs. It seemed to have a rabbit and a tortoise on the cover. It looked rather cute too. Only you and I know about this matter now. If possible, I hope you can keep this secret for me. Mag looked at Xi, and solemnly and sincerely said, there is no evil without a cause in this world. I hope she can become a kind and interesting young lady. We'll evaluate this matter and then process it. Xi kept that picture book. She didn't reveal her attitude towards this matter, but instead said, but we can discuss the earthquake 2 days ago. I've bet you caused it too. Yes. That was indeed caused by me. Mag nodded honestly. You're not an honest human. Xi frowned. He actually got through the lie detector. His previous answers didn't trigger the lie detector at all. The human body also has an unlimited potential, while machinery always has an upper limit, Mag calmly replied. What was it? According to the instruction manual, it's a nuclear-powered printing machine, Mag answered. Nuclear-powered printing machine. A rare surprised expression appeared on Xi's face. The elder thing's technological advancements were extremely high. Nuclear power was already utilized in many areas of their lives, including transportation. However, it was too weird to discover a nuclear-powered printing machine on the Norland continent, which had only just started to use the steam engine. Where did you get this printing machine from? An alien civilization. Xi's expression turned solemn. An invasion of an alien civilization was an extremely serious matter. The descent of the Thulhu gods and its servant species had brought a catastrophe that almost annihilated the elder things in the past. Mag shook his head. No, I got it from an old equipment bay that I dug out deep underground. There was some machinery and books in it, including that printing machine. May I take a look at those things? I'll have already shipped the printing machine back to Chaos City. I can give the other items to you. Mag went upstairs, and came down with a gigantic wooden box. He placed it right in front of Xi. Xi opened the box, and saw 2 bundles of the 9 years compulsory education's teaching materials, the practice exercise books for the college entry exams along with 2 Dragon Ball comic books, some old CRT television, old radio, an aircraft carrier's model, a Thanos figurine, a Black Panther figurine, an Ultraman transformer, etc. It was filled with weird objects. Looking at that scary Thanos figurine, Xi's expression became much more solemn. Perhaps this was an outlook of some foreign god. Meanwhile, she couldn't recognize all the characters in those old books. She needed to bring them back to let the elders decipher them. That's all. If you need to, you can take them all with you, Mag said frankly. Thank you. Xi kept the box in her equipment bay. There was less wariness when she looked at Mag again. I will find Josh and Rankster as soon as possible. If you have information on them, please notify me immediately too. To happy cooperation. Mag extended his hand to her. Xi flicked a glance at his hand, nodded, and then left. Ha, women! Mag smoothed his hair with one hand. He really heaved a breath of relief after he watched Xi keep her assault rifle and disappear at the tavern's door. System, do you think the wise men of the Elder Things will lose themselves in the ocean of the practice exercise books for the college entry exams? Mag closed the door, and suddenly felt a little sorry for those wise men who were about to get baptized by those bits of knowledge and questions. That's a little naughty of you. They were prepared by the system as per Mag's request. Since an advanced civilization exists, does it mean that there are really gods in this world? They are just hiding in places where we can't see them? That means they could communicate with their successors or people through certain means. Mag mumbled questionably. Looking at it now, there is such a possibility, the system answered. The Mao Tai liquor is very scrumptious. It's an exquisite liquor that can hardly be found in the underground city. Furthermore, there is also another liquor called whiskey in this tavern. It has a unique smoky taste. After getting used to it, it's equally mesmerizing. However, the boss of this tavern has another identity. His real name is Mag Alex. He's currently the #1 powerhouse of the human race, and also the #1 powerhouse of all the known races on the Norland continent. He has already broken through the 10th tier restriction, and is able to threaten me. He has taken part in the battle to reseal the upper body of Thulhu, and made a very important contribution in that battle. The Thulhu was struck by lightning in that battle, and a kind soul was rent out from it, and it became a little girl. Xi looked at the half-written observer's diary, pondered for a moment, and deleted the last sentence before continuing. Interacted with him, and obtained important information about the seal that was broken under Sky Isle. This matter was related to the chief of the Frost Dragons, Rankster. I need to find him as soon as possible. There is also a new development on the Roduz nuclear incident. It was caused by a nuclear-powered printing machine. This item was dug by Mag Alex from an underground cavern. An equipment bay was also dug out along with it. There are many peculiar objects in it, including dozens of ancient texts that are written in an alien script. I have already secured them, and will send them back to the underground city as soon as possible for study. They might be related to an alien civilization. Observer, XI. Code name, 9527. Today's mission, going into the unknown bravely. Could the little mistress please go to the breakfast shop 500 meters away to buy breakfast for the whole family? You will receive a chance to spin the wheel when you complete the mission. That's all. Amy sat on the bed, and shook her little short legs. To a 3.5-year-old child, this is indeed a very challenging mission, but I believe you can accomplish this extremely challenging mission, little mistress, the system encouraged her. This is what I could already do at 3 years old. Amy pursed her lips, and corrected with a serious expression, moreover, I'm 4 years old now, not 3.5. Although she felt that the mission was too simple and unchallenging, Amy still leaped off the bed, put on her clothes, and went out of the house. Mag, who was doing his morning exercise on the roof, heard a noise, and looked down. He saw Amy, who was wearing a white down jacket, skip away in the snow. Ugly Duckling was following her, still looking very sleepy. Where's little Amy going? Mag looked at the little one, who should be still sleeping. She should have received some new mission from the system again. Just as Mag was thinking if he should follow her, Amy turned into a breakfast shop 500 meters away. So she's hungry? Mag raised his eyebrows. He couldn't decide if that was Amy's idea or the system's mission. Amy carried Ugly Duckling in her arms, and walked into the breakfast shop. The breakfast shop had a furnace burning behind a half-closed door. It was warm compared to the outdoors. Amy had an expectant smile as soon as she entered because there was an enticing smell of food in the air. It was still early, so there were only 5 or 6 people eating breakfast in the breakfast shop. They looked at the door when they heard it open, and then their gaze was all attracted by the pretty little girl standing there. What an adorable little girl! Her puffy white clothes made her face look even smaller and cuter. Even a porcelain doll couldn't match up to her exquisite features. Furthermore, she was cuddling a weird beast that was black and white and rotund. It also looked extremely cute. Just as everyone thought that she came with an adult, the little girl walked to the ordering counter by herself, tiptoed, and said in an adorable voice, "Boss, can I take away some breakfast?" The boss of the breakfast shop saw the tiny Amy, and then he looked at the door too. Seeing that there were indeed no adults following her, he smilingly said, "Little girl, you can take away the breakfast, but where are your adults? Let them come to get it. You might not be able to bring it away later. It's fine. I have money. Besides, I can bring it away no matter how many items there are," Amy said seriously, and even took out a gold coin to show the boss. The boss was a little hesitant. This little one was indeed too small, and the portions of breakfast in the shop were big, so he couldn't bear to make her bring them away by herself. "Miss, isn't that Mr. Hades' daughter?" Mela said with surprise. "It's her." Eofi, who was sitting in a comer, nodded. When she saw Amy, she, too, was surprised, and said, "I didn't expect the little one to come out and buy breakfast by herself. Want this pancake made with corn? 3 of them. Then, this soup which looks quite good. 3 bowls of them. And this egg, I want 4 of them. And this, Amy already began to place her order. There were many items she wanted to eat. The customers were all looking at Amy with surprise. They didn't expect that not only the little one wanted to buy breakfast to bring it back, she even wanted to bring breakfast home for a lot of people. The adults in her family were also quite careless. How could they let such a pretty little girl come out by herself? What if she got kidnapped? They would cry their hearts out then. The boss packed all the food that Amy requested, but he didn't pack the soup. He smilingly said to Amy, "Little girl, it's not easy to bring the soup away, and you have to carry a lot of things with you. Get your adults here to bring them away. Besides, you still have to carry your cute little bear. It's fine. It can walk by itself." Amy tossed Ugly Duckling aside. "Meow!" Ugly Duckling looked up and called out aggrievedly. The boss was still a little hesitant. "Boss, give the things to me. This is the daughter of the boss of the newly opened Saipan Tavern across my place. I'll help her carry them back. Give me 3 bowls of cucumber soup too. I'll get Mela to send the bowls back to you later." Right then, a gentle voice spoke up behind them. Amy turned back. When she saw Eofi, she had a realization, and said, "It's you, pretty big sister." "Yes. Why is little Amy out buying breakfast alone?" Eofi patted Amy's head. "This little one looks so cute, and she was a sweet talker 2.1, so she's the daughter of that boss." "All right, since Lady Boss Eofi is carrying them for her, there's no problem." The boss was convinced. He quickly scooped 3 bowls of soup, put them in a takeaway box, and passed them to Mela. "How much are they?" "I'll pay for them as well." Eofi took out her money bag. "Mine's a total of 52 copper coins. Please give me 48 copper coins back." Amy had already given the boss her gold coin. "Can't big sister treat you to some breakfast?" Eofi smilingly asked. Amy seriously replied, "Father said I can't accept favors when I'm out, even if they are from a beautiful big sister. Girls have to protect themselves when they are out on their lonesome." "Mr. Hades is indeed a great father." Eofi nodded. She didn't force Amy to accept the treat. She took out the money and settled her bill. Amy rejected Eofi's help. She carried the bag of breakfast in her arms, and left the breakfast shop with Eofi. "Did you have visitors? Why did you buy so much food?" Eofi looked at the giant paper that Amy could barely hold on to. "The breakfast was for at least 6 people. No. Half of them are for me." Amy shook her head. "Half?" Eofi gaped. "Yes. It's too little, right?" Amy revealed a thoughtful expression. "It's not." Eofi quickly shook her head. Half of the bag of food was a few days' worth of breakfast for Eofi, and yet the little one still thought it was not enough. "However, did Mr. Hades let you come here to buy breakfast?" Eofi asked Amy. Although this breakfast shop was not far, it was still too unsafe to let such a small girl like Amy come out to get breakfast alone. It would be horrible if she met some bad people. Rodu's public safety wasn't as good as it looked. Amy shook her head, and smilingly said, "No, I snuck out alone. Father might be still sleeping right now. I just want to buy breakfast for him, and let him sleep in for a while." "Yes. I bought breakfast for everyone. The breakfast looks not bad," Amy said with a nod. "Good girl," Mag said as he caressed Amy's head. After that, he looked at Eofi, and greeted her with a smile. "Good morning, Miss Eofi." "Good morning, Mr. Hades. I ran into little Amy at the breakfast place, so I sent her back," Eofi said with a smile. "Thank you," Mag thanked. Eofi took the lunchbox from Mela's hands, and said, "This is the cucumber soup from the breakfast shop. They usually would not allow people to take the soup away, but I am rather close with the owner, so I took 3 bowls with me. When you're done with it, you can get Mela to bring the bowls and lunchbox back." "All right. Thank you. I'll send it back later so Miss Mela would not have to take the trip." Mag received the lunchbox carefully, and asked Eofi, "Oh, right, how is the making of parts for the distillation equipment going?" "I'm about to go to the blacksmith to take a look. I should be able to get everything today. I'm just afraid that the worker would be slow, so I'll be going over to retrieve it," Eofi said. "Let me know when all the parts are ready. I'll try to help you put them together." Mag nodded. "Then I'll thank you in advance," Eofi said gratefully as she left with Mela. "Big sister Eofi is a good person. Without her, the owner of the restaurant would never sell the soup to me," Amy said as she watched Eofi leave. "Yeah. She is a good lady." Mag nodded with a smile. He looked at the food in the lunchbox and the large bag of food in the little fellow's arms, and asked, "Why did you suddenly think of buying breakfast today?" "Because father is working so hard every day, so I thought that I should get breakfast, and that way you would not have to make breakfast for us, and could sleep in a little more," Amy said seriously. Good girl." Mag caressed Amy's head with a smile, and his heart felt warm and fuzzy. Mag brought the lunchbox in, and said, "Oh, right, if the wishing well works, let's make it give us a vehicle, best if it's an all-terrain vehicle. That way, it would be more convenient for grocery shopping." An all-terrain vehicle. Amy thought for a while, and remembered it. Mother ***. The life experience system swore. "Congratulations on completing your breakfast buying mission. You have won a chance to spin the big wheel. Please proceed to claim your prize." The system's voice rang in Amy's head. "'Twant an all-terrain vehicle," Amy reminded it. "The big wheel is a lucky draw based on probability. I am unable to guarantee what your prize will be," the system explained. "In that case, you can make every section an all-terrain vehicle," Amy said seriously. The system. "If you don't do it, I'm not picking." "Humph. This is so boring," Amy said proudly. Do it," the system said in a low tone. "That's it. Good." Amy smiled. Mag opened the lunchbox, and took out 3 bowls of soup with various vegetables in it. There were some chopped green onions garnishing it, and it looked rather delicious. Eofi called it the cucumber soup, and it did look rather similar to Hunan cucumber soup. Just then, Annie came down and saw the table full of food. She asked Amy a question using sign language with shock. "Amy, did you buy these?" "Yeah. Big sister, come take a seat here quickly. I just brought it back." "There's a lot of food," Amy said proudly as she put the bag of food on the table. Other than the cucumber soup, Amy also bought other food like corn cake, boiled egg, rice crust, and more, which took up more than half of the table when laid out. Mag was not worried about being unable to finish the food. At least half of the food here would go into Amy's stomach. "Come, thanks to little Amy today, we get to eat breakfast bought outside." Mag distributed 3 spoons, and scooped a spoonful of cucumber soup for himself. The soup, which had corn flour added to it, was thick and sticky. There were even radish, lean meat, and various kinds of mushrooms in it. It was not too salty, and was very fresh. Having a bowl of this soup on a winter morning could make one warm from inside out. It was very revitalizing. The corn cake was cut into small pieces. It tasted quite good too. It was probably made by smashing soaked dry corn and adding flour. The texture was very fluffy, and the corn was refreshing. It was a rather good cake. Mag ate a boiled egg. As the rice crust was too hard, it was not suitable for old people. Therefore, he did not try it. 1 However, the 2 little ones were enjoying the crunchiness. After eating her fill, Amy started playing with Ugly Duckling. Annie did not go up to draw. Instead, she sat in front of Mag. "Annie, do you have something you wish to tell me?" Mag asked Annie with a smile. Annie hesitated for a while, and said in sign language, "Is the person from yesterday a bad person?" "She's not a bad person. I guess you can consider her a good person." Mag shook his head. It seemed that Xi with an assault rifle last night gave Annie a fright. Besides, she loved your picture book, so I gave her the one with the mermaid. Annie's eyes lit up a little, and she smiled. Just don't know if she can bear to return it to me after she's done with it. If she doesn't return it to me, you'll have to draw another one for printing." Mag sighed. "It's all right. I can draw another one," Annie quickly said with sign language. "Oh, right. I saw that you were holding a new drawing book downstairs yesterday. Was it your new creation?" Mag asked curiously. Him. Annie went upstairs, and brought a drawing book down to pass to Mag. This was a comparatively thin book. There was a tortoise and a hare on the cover of the book. It was the story of the tortoise and the hare. This was a picture book for toddlers. Mag had told the 2 children this fable before, but he did not expect Annie to draw it out. Mag flipped through the book. The drawing style was cute, and the story was paced well. It could achieve education and pleasure at the same time. Annie, your drawing is improving. The illustrations are cute, and the story is very suitable for children. Mag closed the picture book, and resisted the urge to add a peppered hair recipe at the end of the picture book. After all, rabbits were cute and tasty whether braised or barbecued. Annie smiled happily. On the other side, Amy had already started spinning the wheel in her head. The wheel was filled with all-terrain vehicles before she started to spin it. After turning a few rounds, the needle stopped very luckily on an all-terrain vehicle. "You've got it!" Amy exclaimed. "This is a 100% probability. Is it possible that you won't get it?" The system wanted to cry.